This guy literally just whipped up a sword sheath, and the entire room of hunters is having a collective meltdown. Even Ryu, one of the top-tier hunters currently carrying the scene, is ready to throw hands just to get his hands on it. The judges are absolutely flabbergasted, eyes bugging out of their skulls. Because the aura radiating off this sheath, it's not just strong, it's straight up oppressive. System notification, item appraisal complete. This fire attribute sheath is confirmed at SS rank ultra rare. It's not just a storage unit, it's a massive mana amplifier that makes the wielder look like a walking cheat code. Everyone's losing their minds trying to figure out how a simple examinee has blacksmithing skills that are this cracked. Little do these NPCs know our guy was the undisputed GOAT blacksmith in his past life. He forged god-tier weapons for every legendary hero back in the day, single-handedly carrying their kits. He even teamed up with them to put 6 different demon lords in the dirt. But even after winning the war, humanity was still cooked. Because among those 6 demon lords there was one absolute menace, the Sea of Destruction. Even after getting bodied, the bastard turned most of the continent into a death sea that swallowed everything whole. Thinking back, Seo-hun just lets out a dry, self-deprecating laugh. I went through hell just to survive, only to end up drowning in this dead sea. The surviving heroes fell one by one, and even the hero tower, the literal foundation of the world, collapsed into rubble. This cursed sea of ruins refused to disappear even with the demon lord cold in the ground. Just then, some guy behind him decides to chime in with that main character energy. You really planning on playing the lone wolf hero all by yourself? Soha walks up, brow furrowed at our boy's ragged look, acting like you're carrying the weight of the world, huh? Typical Mad Dog Yom song. Luis immediately bites back, dripping with salt. Look who's talking, mister. I'm too sick to fight, decided to stop LARPing as a dying man and finally act like a hero. The frenzied dog Luis Valen, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, Amy is clutching her head, whining like a toddler. Ugh, told ya! The boss is just trying to loot the leftovers after doing the bare minimum. After the frozen dog Amina finishes her monologue, Seo-hun drops the coldest line of the season. Stfu, you clowns would been fertilizer weeks ago if not for the gear I forged for your sorry asses. The last blacksmith, Seo-hun. The moment he finishes, Seong-ha loses his mind. The hell did you say? Luis just scoffs. Damn, this guy's ego is actually toxic. Amiya sighs, bro, take a chill pill, that was way too harsh. Seo-hun snaps and the atmosphere gets heavy enough to choke a horse. Shut your mouths. If you don't like the gear, drop it and get lost. Right then, only one thought is rent-free in Seo-hun's head. These 3 losers in front of me, the 3 dogs. They don't give a damn about humanity, and they don't serve the demon scum either. They only move when it benefits their own pockets. Absolute narcissists who only care about the grind and their own Ws. Total bottom-tier NPCs who only show up to loot the battlefield. They're the biggest frauds in history, yet somehow they're the only ones left standing. And now they finally decide to start working. Seo-hun starts questioning everything. If these guys weren't so selfish, could we have actually won this thing? Once again, his gaze drifts to that cursed horizon where the sun hits the sea. He drops to the ground, exhausted, and glances back at his party. Is anyone else even still alive? Song-ha clutches his gut, doubling over. I'm at my internal organs are basically liquefied at this point. Luis stares at the sky, his voice fading. Yeah, same here. This curse is a literal L. The bleeding just won't stop. Amiya keeps sobbing. My heart's been pierced. I don't think I'm making it out of this, guys. Seeing this, Seo-hun sighs in defeat, see? You guys should have just teamed up and helped each other from the jump. Even as they're dying, he's still roasting them for being selfish, bottom-tier NPCs. Absolute L behavior from these 3 clowns. Suddenly, a massive noise echoes out, grabbing Seo-hun's attention. It's Sion, Ha Luis, and Amir, completely cooked and down for the count. He stands up with that cold Chad energy. He lets out a sigh. Even at death's door, you guys are still a nuisance. He stalks toward them, step by heavy step. He picks up his hammer, hoisting the massive piece of steel into the air like it's nothing. His eyes are locked onto the metal, pure focus mode activated. After a moment, he carefully stabs his daggers next to Amiya's corpse. His voice is raspy with pure rage. Take care of your gear, you frauds. Look at this pathetic state. Totally unusable. He thinks to himself, at least this junk can serve as a tombstone for you lot. Task finished, he looks up at the endless horizon standing tall amidst the roaring sea. So, is it finally my turn? He lifts his blood-cracked hands, eyes cold and dead. This is the final time I'm doing this. Without missing a beat, he slams his fist into his own chest. Space starts distorting, glowing text flickering in front of him. Cold robotic voice echoes in his head. Extracting link from subject. Link level with creator, negative, a crystal manifests in his hand, pulsating with raw energy. A faint blue light surrounds the ore as the system drops the lore. Unique skill, Linksmith. Linksmith allows extraction of special ore based on bonds and potential. Seo-hun stares at the crystal, his mind racing. But he realizes the truth. If he uses it on himself, it's absolute mid. The colorless ore is empty, a hollow shell. If only I'd awakened this sooner. He grips the dim ore so hard his nails dig into his palm, whispering to the void, if you're empty, then just swallow up all this regret. Suddenly, Sea hoists the hammer high. A booming sound thunders from the distance. He looks at the churning black sea. Is that the sound of the sea of death or just waves? He's heard it forever, but today it hits different. In that instant, Seo-hun goes absolutely feral, hammering down on the object. He's cooking something up, a masterpiece that defies logic. The hammer drops for the final time, and a massive pillar of light shoots straight into the heavens. He raises his creation, his voice dropping into a dangerous gravelly tone. Still no special ability at the end? He laughs at himself. I actually thought something decent would come out, even if it was just my own soul-crushing link stone. He stares at the colorless metal in his hand, muttering, still boring as hell. Fine, if you're trash, I'll end this life myself. Suddenly, his face contorts, muscles locking up. His eyes roll back, and then he just starts laughing. A twisted, broken laugh echoes across the sea of death. I really am a madman, spending my final moments still trying to craft. Seo-hun is deep in his feels now. As he tosses the last sword aside, he realizes what that sound was, that haunting melody he's heard since he first awakened his mana. He always wondered what that noise meant. Turns out it was the sea of death lurking all along. He closes his eyes, drowning in regret. If only I'd understood sooner, or if I'd actually tried to talk sense into those three losers. If I had just forged for the sake of others a little bit earlier, maybe things wouldn't have gone to total hell. The air around Seo-hun warps and a towering ancient relic manifests before him. The system chimes in. Psychic manifestation of the relic has been activated. System notification primordial regression psyche skill activated. As a blinding light floods the room, a mysterious stoic voice echoes through the void. Our hero Seo-hun snaps his eyes open, gasping for air, heart pounding like a drum. Talk about a major jump scare. Wait a sec, I'm not actually dead. Standing across from him, Assistant Han is staring like he's watching an NPC glitch out. Oi, candidate Lee Seo-hun, what exactly are you doing? Seo-hun shudders, hearing that name. It's been 31 long years since I last heard that absolute trash tier title. Suddenly, the guy screams, why are you spacing out in the middle of the entrance exam? Seo-hun's eyes widen to the size of dinner plates. Say what? Seo-hun scans the room. An entrance exam? If this is 31 years in the past, does that mean I'm back at the Babel Academy? Is this just some final brain fever hallucination before I actually bite the dust? His eyes flash with realization as he recalls his final moments. Wait, that psyche manifestation I saw right before I kicked the bucket. The air around Seo-hun turns sub-zero, his breath hitches. A regression to the starting point? Did my bound stone weapon actually pull off a legendary tier miracle? Assistant Han barks, this is your final warning, candidate Lee Seo-hun. He continues, if you don't start cooking right now, you're getting kicked out. Seo-hun nods instinctively. Understood. Seo-hun fixes his gaze on the hammer, so this is what a regression feels like. His hand clenches the air, gripping an imaginary handle. If I had realized my hidden potential sooner and started forging, could I have changed this rigged endgame? Seo-hun immediately shakes off the doubt. No, that's not what matters right now. His breathing levels out, his heart rate stabilizes, and his body feels like it's had a god-tier stat reset. He stares at his hands, knowing exactly what he needs to do. His lips curl into a smirk. He stands tall, his back straight, his eyes burning with the intensity of a forge being lit for the first time. His voice drops into a low, terrifyingly confident tone. I will protect everything this time. Seo-hun's smirk deepens. This timeline, I'm absolutely crushing the Babel exam. He raises the hammer, his eyes glowing with focus. Meeting those three dogs is just the tutorial level. Suddenly, a flame erupts, and in on the master blacksmith tilts his head towards Seo-hun's anvil. His eyes widen in shock. Everyone else sees Seo-hun slamming the hammer like a maniac. Ian rushes over, eyes glued to Seo-hun's hands. This is insane. The movements look sluggish, but the rhythm is pure, crystalline perfection. He tracks the metal in Seo-hun's hands with expert precision, whispering to himself, this is top-tier forging technique. Inan stands frozen, eyes locked on the glowing iron as it begins to take a god-tier shape. Just what level of perfection is this kid pulling off? Meanwhile, Assistant Han is staring with his mouth wide open. No way he actually pulled it off. And sneers with a hint of respect, a total genius just walked in. If he turns this in, he's basically already passed. Right then, Seo-hun brings the hammer down with max-level force, the sonic boom echoing across the room. And then the metal shatters into a million pieces. Assistant Han looks like he's about to have a stroke, and Inan is standing there, eyes completely blown out of their sockets. Back at his crib, Seo-hun is staring at the burning chunk of scrap in his hand like a total NPC. He's rotating this piece of metal, thinking it's mid, but like, is this really all there is to it? He bites his lip, running the analysis, basically extracting raw ore out of thin air by measuring his bond with a target. A total cheat code. Seo-hun keeps staring at the metal, his aura turning cold. The problem? His bond level is still trashed here, making the skill hard to use. He checks his stat window and just laughs bitterly. Compared to the Babel Academy freshman, his stats are straight up fraud status. He sighs, looking up at the ceiling. It's pathetic, sure, but a small price to pay for a literal new game plus restart. He mutters to himself, forcing a calm mindset. Easy, don't rush the process. His eyes flare with pure kill intent. Greed is a death sentence. He has time to cook those demon world scumbags later. Those demonic monsters aren't just a threat to humanity. They're trying to wipe the whole planet off the map. The 6 demon gods orchestrating the apocalypse? That's their canon event, and Seo-hun is here to ruin it. He zones out, calculating his next move. He needs skills tied to his past life memories before he does anything reckless. He nods, solidifying his choice. Step 1 of the Babel Academy takeover is officially in motion. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light pulls him out of his thoughts. His eyes widen in pure shock. A system notification just dropped, and it sounds formal as hell. Systems notification: Seo-hun's bond level has reached level 1. Skill acquired imprint has been added to your arsenal. 1 week later, Babel Academy looks majestic under the morning sun. Too bad the vibe inside is about to get toxic. In a crowded hallway, Seo-hun lets out an annoyed groan. Damn it, I'm lost again. Is this even the right spot? Scans these massive hall until his eyes lock onto a familiar sign. Finally, he steps inside, cautious as ever. Good morning, he says, but some random guy immediately shoulder checks him. After a moment of bruh, he goes into full surprise Pikachu mode. Michael starts tapping the desk aggressively, throwing shade. You look pretty relaxed for someone who's late, huh? Michael arches a brow, glancing at the packed room. You don't see everyone waiting, kid. Meet Michael, the VP of the BIPA department. Total power-tripping energy. Enan can't help but bite back. Vice Principal, we still have 10 minutes until the makeup exam starts. Michael shuts him down instantly. It's not about the time, it's about the attitude. His voice is basically begging for a face slap. I'm putting a warning on his record. Seo-hun sighs internally. Not only is the refinement department a dumpster fire, but the staff is also beefing with each other. Seo-hun glances at Einon and finally gets it. Now it makes sense why he scouted someone else. As his eyes shift, some guy named Han is staring at him with undisguised hostility. Han looks him up and down like he's checking out a piece of trash. Seo-hun stands still, his hands hanging limp, not even bothered. After a brief pause, Seo-hun drops a polite, "Nice to meet you." He hits him with that "I'm above you" awkward smile. Han's internal monologue. This fresh-faced brat, what's his deal? It's been a minute since someone dared to disrespect me like that. Talk about a clown. Everyone's losing their minds, but then a voice cuts through the tension. Is everyone gathered yet? A silhouette steps into the frame, bathed in blinding sunlight. The main event is here. Seeing this, Seo-hun and Han both spun around, while Michael just stood there gasping for air like a total NPC. We were literally wondering when you'd show up, headmistress, we muttered, confused as hell. Suddenly, his eyes went wide as saucers. Ruha herself had just pulled up and locked eyes with Seo-hun. She gave him that icy cold stare, her voice dropping to a low, chilling register. My bad for being late. Ruha, headmistress of the alchemy department. Seo-hun was shook. His internal monologue was screaming, what is this absolute unit doing here? The moment he laid eyes on her, Seo-hun froze, his gaze darkening as memories from the past hit him like a truck. Rumor had it she used to run the show at Babel. Thinking about that left him feeling beyond sus. Never in a million years did he think she'd end up as an S-Class Hero Academy headmistress. Ruha the Weapon Eater, a literal cheat code character with a unique ability to buff her stats by munching on gear. Back before he regressed, she was just another regular customer who frequented his shop. A long time after that, Ruha showed up looking like an absolute mess, completely down bad. Her voice softened, eyes crinkling in a smile, but deep down that guilt was rent-free. I'm genuinely sorry I ate your weapon, she whispered, leaving Seo-hun completely stunned. He didn't say a word back, and the awkward silence in the room was louder than a boss raid. She hung her head, while Seo-hun was vibrating with rage, teeth clenched so hard he was basically trembling. Eventually, he just dropped his head in defeat, letting the past slide for now. Back in reality, a voice cut through his thoughts like a blade. Seo-hun, you hearing me? Seo-hun snapped out of his trance and quickly fired back. Yeah, Inon's voice was steady, scanning the room. Listen up, test details are dropping. Focus, everyone. He didn't stutter. His words hit the room with total authority. You've got 90 minutes to craft a piece of gear that syncs with the sword from the previous trial. In paused for a few seconds, letting that heavy pressure sink into the room. Then his voice turned ice cold, a direct order. You are restricted to alchemy-only crafting techniques. No exceptions. Inan tilted his head toward the glowing ore racks, his voice dropping an octave. Pick whatever materials you want from over there. He threw a nod of respect toward the judges. The final products will be graded by Headmistress Ruha and Vice Principal Bao. Put your heart into it or don't bother showing up. With a sharp hand gesture, he signaled the start, his voice echoing like a trial bell. All right, get to work, Inan shouted at Seo-hun, and the exam officially went live. A moment later, Seo-hun muttered under his breath, alchemy only, really? He bit his lip, eyes glued to his materials. He needed to trigger a resonance with pure mana to stop the primal energy from going nuclear. Han let out a smug chuckle. You think staring at the ore is gonna magically buff your power, bro? Seo-hun looked up, eyes turning cold as steel. Did I hear that fraud correctly? Seo-hun tilted his head. You trying to talk trash to me? Han smirked like an arrogant young master. Who else is here, an NPC? Suddenly, Inan's voice cut through like a kill switch. Henbamut, he barked. Keep your side comments out of my exam. The guy bowed his head immediately. My bad. Won't happen again. Wait, Henbamut? What in the actual plot armor is this? This dude's the vice principal's son? Michael Bamut and Han Bamut. He let out a shifty grin. No wonder they're basically carbon copies of each other. Seo-hun glared at him with pure venom, the absurdity of the situation really sinking in. Han smirked. Looks like this NPC finally caught on. He sneered. I'm the precious son of the vice principal, you know. He's just a bottom-tier peasant with barely any mana, while I was born into the legendary Bamut alchemy lineage. My magic power rivals a second-year honor student. This duel's outcome, it was literally written in the stars from the start. Meanwhile, Yoonha kept her eyes locked on every single one of their moves. She let out a faint, elegant smile. Lapis and Sea Blue Jade, these materials are packed with high-tier mana. Plus, they're primal ores infused with water elemental spirit energy. Inan chimed in, his voice dropping low. Water elemental mana is notorious for being volatile. Forging with it is a nightmare. Michael smirked. That's ancient history. Modern alchemy techniques have mogged the old ways by a mile. Despite his arrogance, Inan interrupted. True, but alchemy speed depends on the caster and the ore quality. In these conditions, 30 minutes is the absolute minimum. Michael chuckled, that creepy, sinister laugh again. He whispered, Han can synthesize any ore he touches. Just a few days ago, he was spinning crystal cores with his bare spirit energy in under half an hour. Ian looked shook. Resonance synthesis in 30 minutes? He couldn't help but shudder at the sheer gap in skill. Wait, what? If he's really that cracked, he's already light years ahead of the second years, let alone the freshmen. Einon's gaze turned suspicious. So that's their play. Time locking the forging process, stacking the material deck, and forcing a specific alchemical method. They literally picked a topic designed to give Han a massive rigged advantage. He was already a prodigy at alchemy to begin with. Einon's eyes narrowed as he stared at the old man. Michael is as crooked as a snake. After a moment of silence, Seo-hun let out a breath. This is fine. Yoonha watched him with genuine curiosity, clearly shocked. Are those hydrate and red flamestones? Michael frowned, sensing the unstable mana fluctuating from the ore. Those were the fire elemental versions of lapis and sea blue jade. The mana density was off the charts. He spoke coldly. I don't know what kind of skill you think you have, but your ego is definitely bigger than your talent. Han just rolled his eyes, glancing over at Seo-hun. He squinted at Seo-hun's materials. He's choosing ores that directly counter mine. Is he actually stupid? Han smirked. What a clown. With that bottom tier mana of yours, don't even dream about controlling those red flamestones. He smiled to himself, looking down. This is way easier than I thought. Suddenly, Han's energy shifted as he turned back to Seo-hun. System notification. Contract imprinting skill activated. The system's cold, robotic voice echoed as magical light swirled around his body. Contract imprint. Harmony engaging. The skill allows equipping contract stones to current gear slots. Left hand, right hand. He equipped the Iron Flame Silver to his right arm. Almost instantly, a surge of flame began to rain down. After a beat of silence, he muttered under his breath, I've still got a long way to go, but showing off trash like this. He stopped his hammer mid-swing, his eyes turning ice cold, is something I as a blacksmith can never accept. Seeing the chaos, the assistant started screeching. Did you just destroy your weapon in front of the professor? You think smithing is a joke? Seo-hun just looked up calmly, Judge. Under Inan's bewildered gaze, he dropped the bombshell. I'd like a retake. Suddenly, the guy screams, but the instructor, Inan, shuts him down instantly, signaling his assistant to bring the kid the remaining materials. Assistant Han is bugging out, stuttering, wait, what? Inan just gives him that icy I'm the main character here death glare. Did he actually break any rules, or do you want me to go grab the materials myself? Assistant Han shuts up real fast. Assistant Han scurries off. Right away, sir. Inan stalks over to the forge, staring Seo-hun down with peak big boss energy. Listen, kid, he says, eyes narrowing. You realize you've only got 40 minutes left, right? Seo-hun just nods, stone-faced. Yeah, Inan stares at the scraps on the floor, dying of curiosity. So you really think smashing it all up was the big brain play? Seo-hun glances at the ruined pile of metal, his expression unchanging. He looks Inan dead in the eye, absolute Chad energy radiating off him. I refuse to submit trash like that. Inan tilts his head, a smirk forming. He's impressed by the audacity. Don't die trying. A moment later, Seo-hun's eyes ignite with that protagonist awakening fire. He takes a deep breath, feeling the fragility of this pathetic body. Damn, this hardware is low tier, leveling up is going to be a grind. Seo-hun frowns, sensing his mana and stamina draining faster than a mid-season anime budget. Time for the strat, he thinks, when suddenly a violent hiss SS erupts from the forge. The NPCs start panicking. What the hell is that noise? Some loser yells. Is this moron dumping mana into the igniters? Hey, you suicidal maniac, stop! They're gonna blow! Hurry up! But Sass Zez mode activating goes dead silent as a 5-colored fire roars to life. Zero explosion. Everyone's jaw hits the floor. Wait, what? No way. This guy is straight up built different. Right at that moment, a massive wave of invisible mana surges into him. Total chaos. The NPCs are losing their minds. It's gonna burn. Get the fire extinguishers. Move. Assistant Han is shaking. Professor, stop him. Inan just brushes him off. Let him cook. Even you, don't you dare move until I say so. Inan commands his assistant to watch the mana flow. Poor guy is spiraling, totally confused. Unreal. Right in front of Seo-hun is the 5-colored fire, a high-temp inferno amplified by the resonance of 5 different igniters. Seo-hun just smirks, laser-focused. This technique needs surgical-level mana control. But it's an S-tier move, insane output even with minimal mana. Big brain plays only. A contestant stammers, losing his explosion. Another one points at the glowing metal in the forge, shrieking, no way, look at that! The color of the iron is actually changing. Inan sees it and immediately clocks what's happening. Aha, the absolute madman is using resonance to boost the heat and manipulate the metal's properties on the fly. Inan watches Seo-hun with a mix of concern. It cuts down forging time, sure, but with 30 minutes left, it's still a massive L waiting to happen. His technique is top tier, Inan thinks, but if that's all he's got, he's still going to be cooked by the buzzer. Suddenly, shards of razor-sharp metal launch into the air. Seo-hun just smirks, that cold, calculated look of a man who knows he's about to mog everyone. Without hesitation, he grabs the molten mass with his bare hands and chucks it back into the furnace. Seo-hun is panting, every breath a struggle against his weak-ass stats. Then he brings the hammer down, clang, the real forging starts now. Suddenly, Seen's arm froze midair, dead in its tracks. Teeth gritted, he felt his mana tank hit absolute zero. Damn it, I'm out of juice and the barrier's shattered. Stupid, fragile body, he muttered, remind me to hit the gym the second this exam ends. Despite the exhaustion, his palm was shredded, blood seeping out and staining his grip. In that split second, one thought echoed in his mind, not a single second can be wasted. With zero hesitation, he slammed the hammer down like a madman, pushing his pathetic physique to the absolute limit. Suddenly, Inan's voice boomed like a system alert. 10 minutes, 3 minutes left. At the final countdown, he unleashed a roar that shook the very foundations of the room. 1 minute. As the words hit, Seo-hun hoisted the blade high. Inan screamed one last command, stop! Seo-hun finally let out a long, ragged breath, his body hitting its breaking point. Beneath the workbench, he clenched his blood-soaked hand, dripping crimson onto the floor. System notification crafting process complete. 5-colored flame sword finalized. Level up. You've acquired the passive skill Flame Artisan C. The system prompts kept flooding his vision. Evaluation, quality grade, high. The 5-colored flame sword has reached the high grade tier. A curved blade etched with 5 mystical flames, these compressed infernos react to mana, erupting in a dazzling display of light, proving the blacksmith behind this masterpiece is an absolute god-tier talent. Someone in the crowd choked out, did he just say, high grade? Seo-hun didn't even sweat the hype. Check the detailed info window, Professor. Pretty sure that's a passing grade, right? Assistant Han completely lost his cool, screaming at the top of his lungs. He passed. Han swatted him. Shut your trap, kid. The assistant instantly cowered. My bad, sorry, sir. The scene cuts to the sanctuary of Professor Kim In-eun's private office. Inside, the old man kept glancing at the door like he was dodging an S-rank threat. Seo-hun sat dead straight, eyes locked on the professor with terrifying aura. Was that blade good enough for you, or what? In-eun went silent for a moment before nodding. Now, I suppose it'll do. He sighed, looking at Seo-hun's cold expression. You're still not satisfied, are you? Let's be real, Lee Seo-hun. In-eun's voice grew heavy, sounding like a man burdened by reality. This place isn't big enough for your ambition. Do yourself a favor and withdraw your application. In-eun kept laying down the hard truths. Babel might have the reputation, but our alchemy department has been mid-tier trash for years. Seo-hun stayed silent, eyes narrowing. Yeah, he knew the lore better than anyone else. Babel's alchemy department was literally cooked, set to shut down in 8 years. The future belonged to Bunsen Academy, the rising peak of blacksmithing. After a moment of hesitation, In-eun gave him the pro-gamer advice. Go to Bunsen, it's the best choice you can make. Seo-hun didn't even let him finish. You're dead wrong, Professor. He pointed at himself with that main character energy. The best place isn't Bunsen, it's Babel, because that's where I'm going. With absolute, unshakable confidence, Seo-hun dropped the mic. You've got it all wrong, Professor. Staring him down without blinking. The best place isn't Bunsen. It's Babel, because I'm about to put this place on the map. In-eun froze, his eyes widening as he realized he was standing in front of a monster. In-eun stared at Seo-hun like he'd just seen an NPC start speedrunning the main quest, pure shock mixed with heavy skepticism. Squinting his eyes, In-eun dropped the challenge. If you want to play hero, you've got to be the department valedictorian first. You got the guts for that? Seo-hun didn't even blink. Easy. At this rank, nobody's touching my stats. In-eun's expression shifted, dropping the chill professor vibe for a serious parental interrogation. Do you even know the selection process for Babel's top student? You're cooked if you don't. Seo-hun recited the protocol like a literal system terminal. An extra exam between the top 2 candidates of the department. Whoever clears it takes the top spot. I'm already on it. The Babel Academy is basically a massive lobby split into 3 main factions. The combat department, the support department, and the engineering tech department. Each department is a tangled mess of subspecialties branching out like a skill tree from hell. Being the department valedictorian means you've basically outmogged every other sweatlord in the building and earned the title of absolute unit. Back in reality, In-eun was vibrating with pure anxiety. His hands were shaking, gripping the desk. He looked Seo-hun in the eyes, abandoning his professor persona. I'm saying this as a fellow blacksmith, not a teacher. He sighed, looking completely checked out. Even if you hit top rank here, this place is a dead end for a smith. Go to Venon Academy instead. In-eun nodded firmly, already deciding Seo-hun's metapath for him. That's the only way you'll actually reach your potential. Seo-hun looked at the old man with actual respect. This guy was putting his junior's future above his own ego, a true Giga Chad move. After a moment of silence, Seo-hun doubled down. I told you the environment doesn't change my build. His eyes flared with main character energy. Babel is about to become the best place on the server because I'm enrolling. In-eun was stunned. Did this kid really just claim he'd carry the whole academy on his back? Finally, the corner of In-eun's mouth twitched into a smirk. He was actually feeling the hype. In-eun burst out laughing, reaching out a hand. That's some S-tier arrogance, kid, but for some reason, I'm not even mad. He extended his hand, his gaze shifting to pure sincerity. I'm looking forward to seeing you cook. Seo-hun grabbed his hand without hesitation, his grip firm and eyes locked. Bet. Instantly, holographic text started glitching into existence right in front of him. System notification, link established with target Kim In-eun, creator link initiated. Extracting stats from target. Seo-hun clenched his fist and something started manifesting right in his palm. A hunk of raw metal appeared, pulsing with internal, the system pinged item, flame forged ore, grade high quality, low mid. A rare material that literally stores fire inside, basically a battery for pyromancy. Suddenly, Seo-hun's arm was wreathed in flames, glowing with absolute heat. The onlookers saw it and started mauling. What kind of cheap trick is that clown pulling? Is he just showing off for attention? Meanwhile, Seo-hun was locked in, ignoring the NPCs while he activated the ore. The chunks of iron began to orbit each other. Seo-hun grinned, his eyes reflecting the blazing inferno. Behind him, Ha-yoon's squad was still staring, completely pressed. Michael raised a brow, scoffing. Is he seriously trying to force a resonance using matching attributes? What a total noob. Everyone knows you need pure raw mana to force resonance. This guy is literally throwing his run. He calculated the variables, knowing that forcing the process would lead to a total magical meltdown. At that, Michael smirked, his ego radiating pure I'm the main character energy. This absolute NPC really thought Seo-hun was about to catch an L, but then Seo-hun swung his hand forward. Suddenly his arm was encased in a layer of glowing scales. The room went dead silent as Seo-hun held his pose, and An and Ha bowed their heads, witnessing the absolute aura of a Chad. Michael's eyes bugged out. What the hell was this terrifying firepower? In that split second, a blade formed, and Seo-hun let out a cold, calculated smirk. System notification, Fireforge sheath craft complete. Congratulations on successfully synthesizing this rare equipment. Ha stood there, eyes wide as saucers, completely shook. Michael was straight up frozen, his brain failing to process the sight. He was spiraling into panic. No way. Did this fraud actually pull it off? The system UI flashed. Rank rare. Quality low. A sheath infused with pure fire mana, capable of storing and amplifying flames to trigger the special firestorm skill. Cold sweat dripped down Han's face. The speed of that synthesis was absolutely cracked. He stared at his own palms, his inner monologue screaming, "This makes zero sense, everything should have exploded by now." Han's brain was melting, wondering what he missed while Michael started losing his cool. Michael screamed, "Stop! If you inject raw mana into those stones, you're cooked." But the sphere in Han's hand was already vibrating violently. A blinding heat wave filled Han's vision. Suddenly the sphere detonated, shrapnel flying everywhere with a deafening boom. The entire building shook like it was caught in a major earthquake. That afternoon, at the refining department, shards of crystal littered the floor like trash. Han appeared through the smoke, looking battered and bruised, but still standing. After a moment of heavy silence, Enon finally spoke up. Normally, after a thorough evaluation, he paused, gritting his teeth, struggling to mask his absolute saltiness about who gets the top rank. Enon locked eyes with Han, his voice dropping. However, this is truly a tragic turn of events. Han winced, clutching his bleeding arm, the ultimate plot armor struggle. The professor glanced at Han, spitting, "I never expected this exam to end with a withdrawal." Michael bit his lip, trying to hide his massive L behind a calm, snarky voice. Since a student was injured, the only logical move is to void the results and reschedule. Enon snapped back, "We have no right to cancel a completed exam. Wasn't this accident just the student's own incompetence?" He tilted his head, eyes sharp as daggers, voice icy. "Professor Kim, sounds like you care more about the scoreboard than your own student's safety." Silence slammed into the room, and you could see the murderous intent radiating off him. Michael stood up, strutting into the center of the room, trying to mog Seo-hun and strip away his secrets. "The fastest recorded resonance time in history is 5 minutes, he sneered, ready to gatekeep the results. But then the old geezer starts screaming like a toddler who dropped his ice cream. A freshie who just entered the academy managed to manipulate mana and reach resonance instantly? Does anyone actually think that's legit? Bro, let me educate you. The essence of alchemy forging is literally about crafting gear with pure mana when normal blacksmithing is mid-impossible. So the core of this craft isn't the boomer way of forcing ore to submit by burning your own lifespan. It's about tapping into the mineral's soul and waking up that hidden aura. That's the real Chad move." At that moment, Seo-hun only had one thought. What he just pulled off is the absolute proof. And honestly, this trick is going to be the industry standard in a few years anyway, so why gatekeep it? But I definitely don't have time to teach a stubborn NPC who loves hearing his own voice. Seo-hun hits him with the cold reality check. "I have literally zero clue what kind of brain rot you're spewing right now." Hearing that, Micah's mouth curls up, just as I thought. "You definitely cheated, kid." He gives this smug, villainous chuckle. "A total nobody crafting rare tier gear? Keep dreaming. If you're gonna hack the system, at least make it look halfway believable, you fraud." Seo-hun's eyes turn into slits. He's clearly losing his patience. Suddenly, some side character chimes in. "Yeah, this is totally sus." My bows her head low, but that smirk says she's plotting something major. "I knew it. You're definitely on my side, sir." "Principal, this is clearly a clown show. We need to strip Seo-hun of his title for cheating and redo the whole thing." Meanwhile, she's just casually walking past the old man like he's a background prop. Woo-ha stops dead in her tracks right in front of Seo-hun's blade. Enon is just standing there, buffering, watching the whole scene. The principal and Woo-ha are staring at the sword like it's a legendary artifact. She whispers, "I actually can't believe it." Then she starts drooling like a total degenerate, pointing straight at Seo-hun. "Student Seo-hun." Woo-ha drops a bomb, her eyes sparkling like she found a shiny Pokemon. "Can I take a bite? No, just a lick? Please, just let me taste it once." As soon as she says that, Mike is basically blue screening. He's shook and Inan is just standing there, questioning his life choices. Did she just say, "Lick it"? Suddenly, a loud grumble echoes from Woo-ha's stomach. The whole group is just frozen in pure, unadulterated cringe. Later that afternoon, in the city center, Seo-hun is casually strolling out of the academy. Standing under that sunset glow, he's deep in thought. The stellar tuning was still a bit raw. The perfection level hasn't reached its final form yet. Thinking this, Seo-hun tries to keep his cool. Even so, he gives a small smirk, his hair blowing in the wind, clearly enjoying the look of a pure rage on the vice principal's face. "Is that guy okay?" A passerby whispers to his friend. His smile looks kinda creepy psycho. The friend drags him away. "Don't make eye contact, just keep walking." Back to Seo-hun, he suddenly stops. "Wait, the name Baut. Why does that ring a bell?" He starts slapping his own forehead, muttering to himself. "Baut, Baut!" A flashback to his past life hits him like a truck. Lewis is there, whispering with pure venom. "Back in the day, the trash weapons I bought after slaving away for that jerk just exploded in my face." He screams, fueled by pure hatred. "That's exactly why I got mana burned and ended up in this trash state. If it wasn't for that guy."
In the flashback,
Seo-hun is just staring at Lewis with cold, dead eyes. Back in the present, his steps halt as a terrifying realization hits him. The blacksmith who permanently crippled the berserker Louis Valent was Bout. Could Han Bout be that same scumbag? He frowns. His main goal this life was to find and recruit the 3 berserkers. But for the berserker Louis, looks like he might be getting a face slap instead of an invitation. Then Seo-hun smirked with a cold, sinister glint in his eyes, his mind already cooking up a master plan. Because as long as he stops Han Bamut from acting like a total clown, Liz will never drift off into his villain arc. Suddenly, the scene shifts to the refinement department's meeting room, where someone is straight up throwing a tantrum. You really intend to let this student, Lai Seo-hun, become our department's valedictorian? A representative spoke up, dripping with fake politeness and toxic skepticism, while professors from other departments chimed in. Sir, are you actually serious? The guy next to him hesitated. Even if you want to, isn't this pushing it a bit too far? Unha slowly rested his hands on the desk, his gaze scanning every NPC in the room with absolute Chad energy. Does anyone here have any objections? An old-ass professor shook his head, looking hesitant and ready to fold, but Michael immediately cut him off. This isn't an objection, it's just sincere advice. He continued, sounding smug as hell. After all, headmaster, you've only been in office for a hot minute. Hearing that, Unha's eyes shifted. He wasn't hiding his rage anymore. Another one jumped in, exactly. We admit his gear is impressive, but we really need to rethink this valedictorian decision. Inan barged in, cutting the noise. You professors are only talking smack because you haven't seen Ji-hun's fire accumulation sword sheath with your own eyes. Even if the craftsmanship looks raw, the way the mana flows and syncs with the 5-element fire sword is cracked. One of them couldn't help but gasp. Truly astonishing, but honestly I'm still doubting how practical it actually is. Just then, she spoke up. This weapon is likely not even at 60% of the potential Ji-hun is aiming for, and it's that exact incompleteness that shows its massive ceiling. She made sure every word landed. If you still can't accept my decision after seeing what he's capable of, the room went dead silent as Unha continued. Every word dropped like a literal sledgehammer. If you still refuse to accept my decision after the upcoming valedictorian demonstration, then she dropped the ultimate ultimatum. I will resign from my position as headmaster immediately. In the middle of the massive plaza, Lai's voice boomed through magical speakers, echoing with the gravitas of an ancient oath. 54 years ago, the heavens bestowed the hero tower upon us for the evolution of humanity. The vibe turned dark as a hologram showed the sky literally glitching and tearing apart. His voice turned heavy. In response, hell unleashed a swamp of chaos that rotted everything it touched. While we found new opportunities to chase, a massive catastrophe descended upon us. Standing dead center in the hall, Lai taught with legendary charisma. Babel was forged in that very chaos. It's the largest academy in history, built right in the heart of the Pacific. To this day, Babel has churned out countless elite heroes. Saying this, he ceremoniously announced, the prime example is the ascended Emperor Louis Subt, and soon you all will become a part of that legacy too. Lys's voice turned sentimental. March forward to all of you who have set foot in this Babel Academy. His voice spiked, solemn and sacred like a vow on the battlefield. That is the ultimate mission of a hero. The guy who just finished speaking is none other than the ascended Emperor Louis Subt. Seo-hun stood silent in the crowd, his eyes observing Louis on the stage, his mind calculating. Watching him up close, he seems like a decent guy, though in reality, he's definitely not just some kindly old man. The MC stepped up, mic in hand. Next up, we'll move to the performance of this year's top-tier valedictorians. Will the department valedictorians please step onto the stage? Hearing the call, the group of students walked up, looking like main characters. Seo-hun watched their proud backs, his eyes dimming as memories of his past life flashed by. Valedictorian, huh? In my past life, I always wondered why so many losers got so arrogant just for scoring high at the academy. Right on cue, the MC hyped it up. And now we begin the skill demonstration. He scanned the area, his mouth curling into a forced, cynical smile. Seeing this scene, I think I finally get it. At the same time, the MC shouted, the test subject for today's demonstration is none other than this absolute masterpiece, ladies and gentlemen. No sooner said than done, Automaton Model 9 appeared. He immediately started geeking out. A golem straight from the factory, Automaton Model 9. It even packs combat power equivalent to a C-rank hero. Ji-hun's eyes were glued to Model 9. He chuckled, intrigued. An automaton specialist for combat? Since it doesn't have any specific weapons, I guess it's gonna use martial arts, right? The hype man points toward the arena entrance, his voice dripping with dramatic flair as he hypes up the first rep from the combat department. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the top dog, the one, the only. Ja Myers. Just like that, Z and his Model 9 automaton hit the stage, looking ready to absolutely cook. Seo-hun squints, eyeing the dark-haired kid. Wait, is that Z, the third son of the Myers family? I heard he was a total weirdo who obsessed over martial arts instead of the family's signature swordplay. Turns out the rumors were mid, the guy's actually got serious aura. Before I can even blink, the announcer screams begin and the automaton's eyes start glowing like a neon sign. The signal drops and the fight is officially popping off. No hesitation, the bot pivots, its heels grinding into the dirt as it blitzes toward Z. System notifying strike. It throws a heavy-duty punch with zero chill. Z dodges like a main character while the automaton starts spamming attacks like an NPC losing its mind. Suddenly, Z leaps back, his boots skating across the floor like he's playing a high-speed rhythm game. He looks up at his metal opponent with a smirk. Alright, my turn to shine. With that, Energies charges headfirst at the machine, absolutely locked in. He clenches his fist, winding up a strike that looks like it's about to break the sound barrier. Boom! The entire student body is shook, the silence in the stands is deafening. Z isn't letting up, turning that automaton into a punching bag. Seo-hun's eyes widened in real time. What is this speed? He remembers Z dying early in his original timeline stuck at rank A. This makes zero sense. Seo-hun's brain is lagging. At this level, this guy is a once-in-a-decade prodigy. How did he not hit S rank sooner? Seo-hun keeps muttering to himself, completely baffled. Why was he such a fraud in my past life? Back in the arena, Z just scoffs. You're done, kid. He winds up for a finishing move that's about to put this bot in the scrap pile. The machine's head goes flying into the air like a stray basketball. Z pulls back his fist, standing tall as the dust settles around him. Absolute gigacad energy. He exhales, looking bored. Man, it's been a minute since I actually had to sweat. The announcer's literally vibrating, his voice cracking from the hype. What a god-tier performance. Z just soloed a C-rank automaton in a single breath. That's crazy. The announcer is glazing him hard, talking about how the top tier of Agacuf is just built different. Seo-hun just frowns from the sidelines. He thinks he really just set the bar that high? The next guy is going to feel some serious pressure after that display. A new voice rings out, calm, cold, and dripping with authority. Moving on, representing the support department, give it up for Erica. Seo-hun raises an eyebrow as this long-haired goddess walks out. The support lead, whatever, pressure is just a mental diff, I don't care. Erica, the eldest daughter of the Ino clan, one of Japan's big three. She's not just some top-tier student, she's an S-rank hero wielding a mythic-grade weapon. Too bad in the original timeline she falls to the dark side and gets unalived by her own kin. Seo-hun decides right then, she's a ticking time bomb. Getting close to her is just a waste of XP. Suddenly, Erica locks eyes with him, turning the whole arena into a side quest. Seo-hun freezes, his brain doing a complete factory reset. Wait, what? He watches her walk away, totally flustered. Hold up, did she just look at me? Don't tell me this is a canon event. Meanwhile, the announcer hypes up the crowd. This automaton is the Mark 9 armored model. It's got 1.5x the defense of the previous build, absolutely cracked. He screams with enough energy to rattle the arena. Let's see if student in out can actually pull a W. Suddenly, Erica pulls out a literal crow. Her eyes go full demon mode as she whispers the command. Go. The second it leaves her lips, the bird launches like a heat-seeking missile. It streaks through the air, circling the automaton like a predator eyeing its prey. Seo-hun is visibly shook. Wait, it's just a bird, really? The automaton tracks it, its eyes flickering with a menacing red glitch. Meanwhile, our boy is locked in, analyzing the machine's every move. He's doing the math. This thing is in full defense mode. Breaking that plating is a nightmare, especially for a pure defense tank build. Back to Erica, she's got that I've already won smirk on her face. The crow spreads its wings, extending talons that look sharp enough to cut through plot armor. One of its eyes glows with a neon blue aura. Okay, that's actually sick. It catches the sunlight, dives, and hits terminal velocity, barreling straight at the machine. The arena floor explodes in a cloud of dust and debris. Seo-hun is left staring in total disbelief. Through the smoke, the automaton is already cracking, sparks and electricity dumping out like a broken PC. Wait, did it just get one-tapped? There's a massive hole in its chest. The machine goes limp and hits the dirt like a bag of trash. Erica flicks her wrist, the crow returns, and the announcer loses his mind. Absolute insanity. Phenomenal. With a single strike, the armored juggernaut is dismantled. She just speedran in C-rank opponent. The squad is popping off. Erica, you're a queen. Step on us. Sun, back in reality, gives a nervous smile. Damn, the pressure is real. If I just show off a weapon and walk away, I'm getting cooked by the crowd. Right on cue, the announcer roars, and finally the top student of the engineering department. Let's hear it for Seo-hun. The hype man is peaking. Continuing the show, here is the prodigy of the BIPA engineering student Lee Seo-hun. Up in the VIP box, Supervisor Lewis is watching the feed. He lets out a chuckle. These freshmen are monsters. How long has it been since we've seen a refinement major this good? He pauses, sweating a little. Is the pressure gonna break the kid, though? Next to him is the big boss, Principal Ruaha. She doesn't even blink. Relax, he's got this in the bag. The crowd goes wild as Seo-hun steps into the spotlight. The announcer baits the viewers. Will he top Erica's another NPC? A random girl screams, he's so fine. The announcer pivots. Wait, is that a rare tier item in the refinement depth? No cap, that's unheard of. Seo-hun draws his blade with main character energy. His eyes lock onto his target. At that moment, his sword manifests behind him, glowing with insane utility. Some guy in the stands is torn. Crafting a rare tier item as a freshman? That's legendary status. But compared to the flashiness of the others, it looks kinda mid. The crowd starts whispering. The disappointment is palpable. A rare item? Isn't it a bit too plain? They set the bar way too high with those previous displays, the guy mutters, confused. I don't even know what he's trying to prove. Hidden in the corner, Miker smirks, eyes shimmering with main villain ambition. The heavens have decided. The W is mine. That old geezer is staring at Seo-hun with pure malice, probably plotting how to snatch the Babel Academy principal seat. Talk about a major L. Meanwhile, Michael is acting like a total NPC, keeping his face as calm as a summer breeze. Back at the arena, the announcer is yapping about the demo, trying to pass off Model 10 a pathetic D-rank hero tier, until our MC decides to interrupt his mid-performance. Nah, Seo-hun says, eyes glowing like a legendary blade unsheathed. The whole arena goes dead silent. Bring out Model 8 and slap some heavy-duty armor on that thing. The announcer's brain just disconnected. Wait, what? Is this guy for real right now? Model 8 is already tanky enough to withstand a B-rank blast, and this absolute madman wants to upgrade it further? The announcer stammers, hesitating to even entertain such a high-tier request. He's low-key panicking, thinking, is this kid trying to wreck the whole show or what? But then, Inan steps up with that big boss energy. Relax, I've already handled the logistics. A massive metal beast just warps into existence, bowing to his command. He looks up at the automaton with the confidence of a man who's already won. It's fully armored and locked, leaving the announcer shook to his core. He actually prepared it beforehand, the guy whispers, trembling like a leaf. If you're really that determined, Seo-hun glances at Inon, locking eyes with his mentor. Inon says nothing, his gaze screaming, "Don't let me down, kid." From the VIP balcony, the announcer loses it. "Aight, let's go. Let's see what you've got." He gives a nervous, awkward smile. Even he has no idea how this absolute canon event is going to end. The signal rings, the battle starts, and Inon is visibly sweating, tense as a violin string. That split second, he whispers, "Go ahead, paint the town red." Seo-hun drops the coldest smirk I've ever seen. "Bet," he thinks, glancing at Inon. "Time to show this old man exactly how much riz I've got in this sword." The blade in his hand starts crackling with insane, overwhelming spirit energy. Seo-hun drops into a low stance, the energy spiraling around him like a vortex. The crowd is losing their mind, straight up feral. This guy is actually cracked. He's totally insane. Meanwhile, Michael is out here hating, thinking, "Look at him, all talk and no aura. He's just a fraud." A manaless loser like him? Please, he scoffs. But he doesn't realize those 5-color fire sword flames are inherently unstable and volatile. If you don't have massive mana reserves, this technique usually backfires and cooks the user, but Seo-hun's using the fire-storing scabbard tech to force the red flame inside. He whispers the activation command. Energy charge, 100% complete. The automaton slams its shields up, but Seo-hun is already swinging. The flames are erupting, turning the whole arena into a furnace. The shockwave makes the entire stadium tilt. Seo-hun's brain is running pure calculation. If I trigger the fire now, the compressed spirits will... Eyes locked on that shield like a predator, he murmurs the finishing move. Detonate. Up in the stands, Michael looks like he's seen a ghost, and the announcer? He's staring with his jaw on the floor. Plot armor? No, this is just straight up mogging. What the actual hell? Is this guy trying to speedrun his own death? A second later, the thick cloud of dust finally clears up. Seo-hun slowly holsters his blade, catching his breath like he just hit a PR at the gym. Looking at the literal canyon he just carved into the arena, he's like, did I overcook that a little? The MC is sweating buckets, basically realizing the entire broadcast is cooked. The tech support team is scrambling to the main hall like their lives depend on it. Because they do. He desperately announces the competition is over, and suddenly the crisp click-clack of heels echoes through the hall. Absolute queen energy. Seo-hun is standing there looking like a total NPC who just glitched the game. As soon as she locks eyes with him, Yuna bows her head. "So sorry for making you wait. Had to clear up the debris from that crater you left." Seo-hun sheepishly scratches his head. "My bad, please don't be mad. I really should have held back my aura." He lowers his voice, genuinely apologetic. She just stares, confused. "Wait, what are you talking about, Cadet Seo-hun?" He's panicking now. "You aren't calling me here to roast me for the property damage?" Yuna instantly denies it. "Obviously not. Actually, the real reason I called you here is..." But right on cue, her stomach betrays her with a loud, aggressive growl. The sound is so awkward it freezes Seo-hun in his tracks. He lets out a cough to hide the secondhand embarrassment. She tries to pivot back to business. "I'm willing to pay 10 times the market price for it." Yuna stares him down with pure intensity. "Will you sell me the 5-color fire sword and its scabbard?" Seo-hun's eyes go wide. "Wait, what?" But in that exact moment, the system link with Yuna is officially established. Yuna suddenly leans in close, whispering with that dangerous, seductive charm. It really is a masterpiece, isn't it? System notification. Contract with Yuna established. Compatibility with creator Lee Seo-hun, level 1. His eyes are shaking. He's genuinely gobsmacked. It worked that fast? In my past life, I had to simp and donate gear for years to get this link. C stammers mems many thanks, ma'am. Internally, he's like, damn, today is a massive W. Magical text scrolls across his vision, and the system voice hits different, like it's announcing a legendary loot drop. Extracting contract from target. Contract. A metal that generates heat by consuming other ores. It corrodes anything it touches and absorbs the core. Absorbs iron to create blood minerals? Seo-hun stares at the item like it's a glitch in the Matrix. Wait, is that it? Yuna leans in again. "You were going to sell it to me, right?" He immediately shakes his head. No way." She arches a brow, looking annoyed. "But you literally just said it was done." Suddenly a voice booms from outside. "Headmaster, it's Kim and Cheon." The guy speaks with the authority of someone who doesn't take no for an answer. "The Academy headmaster has ordered the award ceremony to start immediately." Looks at Seo-hun's. "Can I take Cadet Lee Seo-hun with me?" She gives a subtle nod, her gaze cold and deep as a bottomless lake. Understood. Seo-hun makes a run for the exit. He shoots one last look back. "Catch you later then." Meanwhile, Yuna's stomach is still staging a full-scale riot. Welcome to the heart of Babel Academy, the glass mansion, the main HQ. Cut to the interior of the mansion with Seo-hun sprinting to keep up with Incheon. He muttered a warning as we walked, his expression dead serious. "Watch your manners in front of the Academy headmaster. He didn't just let you off the hook for trashing the hall during your performance." Inan paused for a second before continuing. "He's also on a completely different level of built different than the rest of us." I hit him with that cool, composed smile. "Don't sweat it, Teach. I've got this." We stepped into the office. Headmaster Lai locked eyes with me. "So you're the student, Seo-hun?" The Ascended Emperor, Headmaster Lai. Before I regression diffed this timeline, he was the absolute unit who died solo carrying against the Calamity Demon God, one of the 6 great demon gods. His final moments flashed in my memory like a core memory. I felt a surge of perfectionist. Absolute gigacad energy. Lai spoke up. "The weapons you showcased today, honestly, some top-tier interesting craft." He sighed. I can't say I'm not a little disappointed, but I've got high expectations for you. Hearing that, my brain short-circuited. Disappointed? My heart started burning like a forge left on high heat. Even after hyping myself up, I felt like tossing my 5-color flame sword and the flame ignition sheath back into the furnace right now. Just then, Lai dropped the loot. Therefore, to recognize your talent and the grind, I'm granting you 2 rewards. He leaned in, dead serious. Tell me exactly what you need. My eyes widened. First time my poker face actually cracked. 2 rewards? I didn't hesitate for a second. I want rewards that can boost my mana pool and my memory retention. The moment I said it, Lai waved his hand and a system UI symbol materialized in midair. I stared at the 2 items, Black Inkstone Hero Rank, Masterpiece Quality. A chunk of night sky-colored ore that absorbs everything except the shadows themselves, capable of siphoning mana from any crystal it touches. And the Dream Eater Tusk Hero Rank. It's the ivory of a Baku, that dream-eating freak of nature. It's packed with phantasmal mana that lets you bridge the gap between reality and the dream realm. I stood there looking like an NPC, stunned. The Black Inkstone is already a rare gem, but the Dream Eater Tusk? That's S-tier rarity. I smirked. Control might be a headache right now, but I've already got some 200 IQ plays in mind for these. He watched me for a long time, his voice dropping, heavy with expectation. Are you satisfied with these? I gave a respectful bow. They're absolutely cracked, sir. Thank you. As soon as I bounced, someone spoke from the shadows. Why the special treatment, sir? The spirit mirror was sus, questioning why only this kid got 2 rewards. This ain't like your usual style at all. Lee brushed it off with a mid-tier excuse. I gave them to him because that kid has the potential to master them. The mirror couldn't help but gawk. Really? He gives off major old soul vibes, like a boomer trapped in a teen's body. He lowered his voice. That just proves he has a depth of aura that even you noticed. Lee watched Seo-hun's back fade down the antique hallway. Besides, even I can't fully wrap my head around the true depths of that boy. Scene shift to the Maru Mansion dormitory. Inside the classroom, the fanboy squad wouldn't shut up. A guy walked up to Han with that main character energy. Yo, Han, where are we grabbing lunch? He turned him down, no hesitation. Sorry, I've got a date with Senior HW today. The guy's jaw hit the floor. A date with the 53 valedictorian of the BIP department? Han kept it casual. Our families are close, so we link up often. He said he'd give me some S-tier life advice for the academy. He leaned in closer. If it's cool, can I tag along? Right on cue, Seo-hun walked in. I shot Han a look cold enough to freeze his mana core. The second they saw Seo-hun, the whole classroom went dead silent. My eyes locked onto Han, and I didn't plan on letting go. A chill ran down his spine. Why was he looking at me with that cursed psycho gaze? Seeing this, Seo-hun smirked. Looks like the fraud finally realized he's not the main character here. Meanwhile, Han was grinding his teeth, his ego taking a massive L. Damn it, how am I losing to a bottom-tier loser like him? The classroom door slammed open and in stepped in with absolute unit energy, eyes scanning the room. Quiet down, NPCs. Take your seats. He scanned the room, making sure everyone was present and accounted for. Enon locked eyes with the class. Since this is day 1, we're skipping the boring icebreakers. It's time for some real introductions. He held up a metal shard, dead serious. This material is called reflective alloy. It's 10 times more sensitive to mana than common ore. So if you channel your mana into it like this, Enon leaned in, emphasizing every syllable. A weapon forged from your own subconscious will manifest with ease. Seo-hun stared at him, pure respect in his eyes. It's not just clout. There's a reason this guy is top 100 in the world. Even back when I checked the contract stone, I had a feeling, this guy is the real deal. Enon paused, his voice dropping to a low philosophical tone. Because it's so hypersensitive, it's trash for actual combat. But it reflects your inner psyche, acting like a mirror to your soul. He raised his voice. That's why we call these alter egos. Your intro project is to forge your own. Oh, and by the way, the best ones go on display in the main building for a week, so don't be a disappointment. The class chanted in unison, yes sir. Seo-hun's eyes locked onto the alloy. He thought to himself, that piece is worth at least 10 million won. Typical Babel flex, even their intro assignments are pay to win. Meanwhile, Han fumbled with his sword, already looking cooked. Seo-hun sighed, exhausted. Seriously? Seo-hun turned away, sighing. Not a single person here has even a shred of real talent. Just then, Enon called out, last one. He snapped back, here! Seo-hun thought, well, I'm already the top-ranked student here anyway. No point in hiding my aura now. A wild idea popped into his head. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna go big. His eyes ignited with ambition. Should I just break the game and show them what talent actually looks like? Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the classroom. A random side character started yapping, wow, look at everyone crowding around, must be nice, living off that Seo-hun hype train. He kept whining with pure hater energy. It's so cringe how they glaze him like he's built different. He's just a freshman, man. The guy next to him nodded like a total NPC. Exactly. The first guy leaned in, nodding smugly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Both of them looked at the display. Enon's voice echoed through the room. Although there was a slight incident during the forging process where it absorbed all 19 surrounding pieces of reflective alloy, we've concluded this anomaly proves Seo-hun's insane natural talent. We've decided to exhibit it in its current state. A student let out a dry, pathetic laugh, the sound of a hater coping. It was probably just a random glitch from some passive skill, right? The guy next to him pointed, his face twisted in jealousy. Isn't it just because he used too many shards at once? Another hater chimed in. First time in forever we get a top ranker from the refining department. They're probably just marketing him as a genius to save face. Just then, Erica stepped up. I actually have a different take on this. Jack walked over, sporting a smug look. I'm with you on that one. Jack growled. It looks like the amount of alloy he used wasn't even enough to show off Seo-hun's full potential yet. Meanwhile, on the other side of the screen, the hammer slammed down. Right now, Seo-hun's face is dripping with cold sweat. The instructor drops his voice, his eyes flashing with genuine jaw-dropping disbelief. Did you actually time that perfectly? Even now, there hasn't been a single 0.1-second deviation in your rhythm. Assistant Han stares at him, lost in thought. What are we even supposed to teach a monster-tier prodigy like this anymore? He lets out a dry laugh, forget his part for now, then turns to the class. Anyone want to watch a masterclass demo? After a while, Assistant Han sighs. Alright, class dismissed. Over there, Seo-hun's eyes are glued to the hammer, then he glares intensely at the scrap metal on his workbench. Without a shred of hesitation, Seo-hun raises the hammer again. Until Assistant Han chimes in, Whoa, are you actually planning to smash that thing to bits? He immediately pauses, bowing politely to his TA. The guy steps closer, whispering, We need to sell these items after the blacksmithing lesson, so don't break them. Seo-hun tilts his head, Sell them? Assistant Han looks drained. Where do you think the academy gets its budget? The school funds us based on how much weaponry we sell on the open market. He ponders for a second, then asks, So what's actually the problem? Is it your stamina or your mana pool? Caught off guard, Seo-hun chuckles. The real problem right now is just my physical body. A complex thought flickers in his mind. To make training gear, I need to smith magic stones, but I lack the raw endurance to pull it off. The assistant tilts his head, dropping a temptation of a shortcut. If that's really the bottleneck for your crafting, after a brief pause, he suggests, wouldn't using buff scrolls be faster than grinding out physical fitness? Hearing that, Seo-hun can't help but laugh. I never even thought of that. It's a blind spot I had even before I regressed. Seo-hun's lips curl into a smirk, like he's unlocked a new cheat code. Since I'm back in the past and struggling with stamina, I can just smash magic stones while stacking buffs. He gives a light nod. Thanks for the advice, that's actually useful. Assistant Han shakes his head, don't sweat it. Seo-hun looks up, his gaze shifting to the sword in the assistant's hand. While you're forging, you're wasting way too much mana. Cut it down to 70% of your current output and focus all that force into a single pinpoint strike. Before walking away, Seo-hun drops the mic. Do that and you'll see way better results. The assistant manages a forced smile. Did a freshman just lecture the TA? Assistant Han turns his gaze back to the hammer. Outside, the sky is radiating intense heat. The academy is all about that self-study grind for every student. System notification. The doors are opening and the instructor's voice echoes through the hall. You have the freedom to take classes from other majors, even stacking a dozen subjects in one semester if you're built different. But don't get it twisted, you must finish your core curriculum, rack up 3 F grades, and you're getting expelled, no cap. Total freedom, but you gotta own your choices. Suddenly, the PA system rings out, next stop, you are the magic department sector. Seo-hun steps off the train looking absolutely unbothered. The moment he looks up, Erica suddenly appears. Some random NPC blasts with an arrogant glare. Yo, quit blocking the walkway, get lost. Seo-hun frowned. Who are these NPCs? Why are they rolling up here trying to start drama? He spoke up, you're the ones who need to move, actually. Hearing that, the student started vibrating with pure, unadulterated rage. Erica stepped right into his personal space. She hit him with the I'm just curious energy, so where exactly are you heading? Blindsided by her sudden interest, the student was stunned. Lady Erica, I'm heading to the magic department. I was just wondering if there are any side electives I could squeeze into my schedule. Seeing her chance, she shut it down with a boss move. Then I'll be the one guiding him today. He tried to interrupt. Lady Erica, the meeting is about to start. She didn't even blink. You guys go ahead without me. The student looked desperate, insisting that the seniors were literally begging for her presence. Erica shot him a look so cold it could freeze hell over. I have zero interest in that. Turning back to Seo-hun, her aura completely shifted, and they pieced out, leaving the dude yelling Lady Erica into the void. Once they were alone, Erica's expression turned dead serious. So what kind of elective are you actually looking for? Seo-hun kept it simple. I'm trying to learn about buff-type spells. She leaned in, what kind of effects specifically? He kept his composure, something that boosts physical stats, but definitely can't mess up my forging process. Erica immediately peaked. Seo-hun Frogix. Barrier magic? Isn't that just for playing defense? She explained like a pro, it's actually super versatile depending on how you weave it. Erica pulled a thin slip of paper from her pocket. Let me show you an example. She held it out to him. Here. Try your best to rip this. Seo-hun took it, feeling a faint layer of mana coating the surface. His eyes widened. Did she just buff its durability? No, it's more complex than that. It kept its original texture, but it became ungodly sturdy the moment it took any external force. Seo-hun stared at the paper, realizing this technique was god tier for blacksmithing because it required insane precision. Erica smirked. For stuff this high level, you'll probably need a professor to help you out. He stared at the paper, suspicious. Wait, this magic formula, it looks kind of familiar. Meanwhile, she was going full info dump mode. The barrier structure professor is actually married into my family's branch. So I can set you up with a direct intro if you want, she said, her tone dripping with pick-me energy. Suddenly, Seo-hun's eyes clicked. That's it, he ripped the paper effortlessly. Erica looked shook to her core. Did he just decode my family's secret barrier technique in like 5 seconds and then just countered it? Morning at the UR Magic Department. Seo-hun walking next to the campus goddess made everyone lose their minds. The gossip was instantaneous. Why is Erica with some guy from another department? I swear I saw them together yesterday. And at the exhibition too, right? Surrounded by the stares and the loud whispers, he just sighed. The rumor mill is working overtime, huh? Why are these NPCs so obsessed with my business? Ridiculous. If Erica actually liked me, there would be some kind of connection by now, right? Anyway, who knows what criteria they use for these classes. I signed up, but they're forcing us to pass a test first. Erica spoke up. This is where the barrier structure exam goes down. Seo-hun scanned the area, confused. In this forest? Other candidates were already tilted. Are you kidding me? What kind of middle of now here trap is this? He observed the forest quietly. Are we playing treasure hunt to get into a class now? This is starting to get annoying. Are they using a barrier to hide something, or what? Seo-hun accidentally stomps on a weird spot, and the barrier surrounding the forest just straight up shatters like glass. As soon as the barrier disintegrates, the TA pops out of nowhere and drops the news. Congrats, you've cleared the test. Bro is absolutely shook, just stuttering out, wait what? Robo side-eyes the TA at the desk, suspicious as hell. Is that young miss really simping for our department's valedictorian? Professor Robert Burry, the big brain of barrier structure at Magic Academy? The TA shows him his phone and flexes the truth. Oh, for sure. Just take a look at this list. The prof stares at the screen, looking skeptical. I was already confused why Shia suddenly applied for a tier class like this. Because of her clout, the applicant pool tripled. But honestly, I'm not even hyped because the young master of the Yin family is also lurking here. So, this year we're throwing in the Labyrinth of Lost Souls to filter out the trash. This labyrinth is a classic sensory distorting barrier that makes you lose your sense of direction. It's low-key a beginner trap, but if you're a complete Magi NPC, you won't even realize you're walking into it. Watching the scene unfold, Robert is stunned into silence, his mind blown by the MC's raw potential. Wait, she didn't even lift a finger to help, and he just brute-forced his way out of the maze on pure instinct? He addresses the crowd, projecting his voice, everyone here. Congrats, you've all passed the first round. Now, we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff in round 2. One student raises his hand, full of main character syndrome. Let me go first. The student is doing some quick math, thinking this is his golden ticket to impress Erica. Robert nods bet. The second test is simple. Use your mana to dismantle the barrier in front of you. I'm grading on speed, so make it snappy and accurate. Let the games begin. The barrier is a spiderweb setup with a spider at the core acting as the anchor. The spider keeps teleporting the moment it feels mana hitting the webs, and as long as it's alive, the whole net just auto-heals. Infinite regeneration glitch, basically. The volunteer student freezes, his brain sweating bullets, trying to lock down this structure normally. Yeah, I don't have the mana for that. Screw it, I'll just blitz it with speed. Robert glances at his stopwatch and deadpans, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. You need to actually learn how the structure works, kid, but I guess it's not completely mid. The student sneaks a glance at the campus goddess, hoping for some good job energy, but Erica's face is colder than a winter night, leaving the guy feeling awkward as hell. Thank you, Professor. Robert immediately keeps the pace. Next, get up here, let's go. After everyone else has their turn, the professor just sighs and confirms they're all staying in the basic tier class. Alright, Erica in-out, your turn, show us what you got. She steps up with that peak aura, calm as a cucumber. She just taps the barrier with one finger. The whole thing flares up and shatters into a million pieces. In the dead silence, the other students are just staring, completely mogged. Whispers start flying through the crowd like wildfire. How is she that fast? It's not even fair. She straight up disassembled the core formula and bricked the whole barrier. That's top-tier valedictorian energy for you. While the praise is still echoing, the professor walks up. Robert eyes the timer and says coldly, 22 seconds, nice. But if you use the standard dismantle method, you could save 2 more seconds. Erica doesn't even flinch at the critique, just bows and says, I'll keep that in mind. He didn't say a word, his gaze piercing through the next candidate like a silent "you're trash" warning. Then he barked out the name Seo-hun. Robert took one look at our boy Hun and immediately started hating. He's got 0 aura, just another NPC in the making. Let's see if he's actually cracked or just another massive fraud. Instead of casting some flashy, over-the-top spell, this Chad just sits down in front of the barrier like he's waiting for a bus. The students are already whispering like NPCs. Doesn't this guy know the timer is ticking? Is he stupid? Hun stays chill, eyes locked in, deconstructing the energy barrier like he's editing a Google Doc. This barrier is literally made of voidstone. It auto-heals unless you hit the exact frequency to shatter it. To craft this, you gotta dump all your output into one single frame perfect strike. Robert finally loses his cool and stomps over. What the hell kind of game are you playing, kid? Back off, Erica commands, oozing pure mommy energy, and just like that, Robert shuts his mouth. Robert takes the L and retreats, clearly not wanting the smoke. In the dead silence, Hun's brain is overclocking at absolute god tier. If I tweak the timing here, can I recycle the energy instead of it just exploding? The moment his finger taps the weak point, the whole barrier catches fire like a GPU running Cyberpunk on Ultra. In the middle of the deafening silence, Hun speaks with the indifference of a true main character. Done, easy dubs. He realizes he just cracked the code for crafting voidstone in his sleep. Hun stands up and walks through the debris like a boss, acting like he didn't just shatter the school's standards. Barrier? He just keeps walking, ignoring every single gaze in the room. The proctor checks the timer. 7 minutes, 45 seconds. Robert watches his back, realizing the time doesn't even matter. Sure, he took 7 minutes today, but next time, he's gonna snap his fingers and turn the barrier into dust. He didn't just break the barrier, he literally created a new exploit for the game's mechanics. Erica watches his lonely silhouette, eyes full of that I'm worried but also low-key simping energy. If this monster combines his god-tier smithing with actual magic, what kind of broken meta item is he going to forge next? System notification, student Lee Soon has requested an intermediate smithing trial using hero-tier materials. All proctors, please report for duty. The instructor is sweating, wondering how many losers are actually going to show up for this. Suddenly, the pings won't stop. His inbox is exploding. This dude is actually him. Not a single person from Vice Principal Michael's faction applied. They're all salty because their golden boy got demoted. Major skill issue on their part. Rumors are true then. The instructor starts vetting the list, ready to see the show. His eyes nearly pop out of his skull. The headmistress herself is coming to personally supervise Lee Soon's test? That's some main character privilege right there. Out of Yuha pulls up long time no see student Lee Seo-hun. Hun stunned. The headmistress herself came all this way. She just smirks. I'm here to see if the rumors about your talent are cap or real. Hun doesn't even blink. Well, since the boss is watching, I guess I have to actually try. No hesitation, he starts forging right then and there. Let him cook. Step 1 of smithing the inkstone. Honestly, there are a million ways to process this rock, but the absolute boss fight of techniques is the nightfall process. You gotta toss the stone into a pitch-black void, no light allowed, and use your mana to strip the impurities out of that ink-like, oozing liquid. One tiny slip-up in mana control during this phase, and that stone freezes solid, becoming total trash. Sounds easy? Bro, it's basically molecular restructuring. Try doing that while sweating bullets. She stays dead silent, laser-focused on every single movement Seo-hun makes. While his hands are dancing, his brain is running cold, calculated math. 1/4 is the peak efficiency I can hit. Any lower and this thing's performance is going to be mid-tier garbage. Step 2, he summons a crimson flame straight from his palm. That insane heat swallows the metal, making the air warp like Seo-hun's heartbeat. He feeds his mana through that crimson fire to filter out the perfect thermal output. This stabilized flame is called wildfire circulation. It locks the temperature exactly at the moment of ignition, absolute W. Step 3, use a hammer wrapped in that wildfire and wail on the heavy inkstone. The trick is, 0 breaks until the distortion settles. It's all about the grind. Watching those red flames, Yunha thinks, even if he's fire resistant, that doesn't mean he's not feeling the burn. Just how much has he been torturing his own body for this? He swings the hammer like a madman fueled by some strange obsessive energy. While the smithy is echoing with the sound of his clashing hammer, in a hidden corner of the campus, Erica is just chilling, waiting for Seo-hun. Despite his sweat-drenched, I'm gonna die level of grinding, she looks bored as hell. Yuan-sa is literally yawning, dying of sleep. She's standing there with that I'm so done with this energy. 4 hours of smithing have already passed. The inkstone's properties after soaking up the flames to the limit are finally evolving. He exhales thinking, finally that's a wrap. The distortion has stopped. He melts down the processing stone and pours it into the pre-made mold. Yunha's sleepy face instantly vanishes, placed by a look of pure shock. She thinks, casting, not smithing? The properties change because of the shadows inside the mold. What is this guy cooking? Before Seo-hun can start step 4, Yunha suddenly barks at him to stop. Wait, but ignoring her big brain advice, he keeps going. Seo-hun's brain is literally just numbers and mana circuits now, slowing down the inkstone's transformation with a formula to break the barrier and manifest a mana circuit in record time. As the mana circuit snaps into place during the stone's final transformation, the world goes dead silent. Seo-hun reveals the masterpiece in his hand. Behold, the ink spider bracelet, glowing with a deep, bottomless black aura. The second it forms, a mechanical noise shatters the silence. System notification pops up in his face. Item creation, ink spider bracelet complete. To shatter prejudices, a bold challenge is required. Although the material's potential wasn't fully tapped, your forging skill is officially S tier. You have acquired the skill, Black Soul Thread, ink spider bracelet, rare grade. A typical bracelet forged from heavy inkstone. It absorbs the wearer's mana and its weight scales up based on the amount of mana stored. Absorb and store mana to trigger burst ring. In the dead silence, Seo-hun lets out a breath and whispers, success, and just like that, the air stays thick with anticipation. A sound like a literal earthquake erupted from Yunha's stomach, the ultimate I'm starving announcement to the entire world. He froze. Giving her that bruh? Really stare, while she turned tomato red, frantically covering her belly like she could hide the betrayal of her own digestive system. Seo-hun just looked up at the heavens, sighing like he'd just watched a top-tier legend get absolutely ratioed by a hunger pang. He analyzed the item, spitting facts. Is this resonance? Impressive, I guess, but honestly, kind of mid-damage-wise. But with the right setup, we could trigger a set bonus. Keeping that main character poker face, he casually handed it over. My bad for being a fraud and failing to provide a real weapon while you're in a pinch. It might just be a snack, but consider this a peace offering. Seo-hun didn't blink, just locked eyes with Yunha, waiting for the reaction. She took the item and boom, she activated the unique Soulforge skill instantly. Yunha took a bite and dropped a review. Actually, this slaps. He tilted his head, for real? She kept it 100. Yeah, metaphorically speaking. Tastes like crispy fried goodness. Seo-hun internally smirked. Wait, am I really so cracked at cooking that everything I craft hits her taste buds perfectly? The intimacy gains with her are going to be too easy. He flashed a smile. Glad you like it. She nodded, satisfied, then added, obviously. Though it's a waste eating this when those other items are just sitting there. By the way, when are you planning to offload the 5-colored blade and the fire-accumulating scabbard? Seo-hun shook his head, keeping that stoic Chad energy. Not selling them yet. Yunha did a double take, low-key impatient. Wait, what? Are the prices still too low for you? He kept it cool. saving them for the conquest class. He chuckled internally. Plus, hunger really is the best seasoning, isn't it? He made a promise. Once I craft something worthy, you're the first to know. She blushed, trying to regain her queen-tier composure. I'll be waiting for that. Is the forging session done? He confirmed, yeah, we're good. Yoon-ha signaled the exit. Let's bounce. The janitors can handle the cleanup, Seo-hun groaned. Thank God, I've got 0 stamina left to deal with that. As he turned to walk, his brain went AFK and he started tipping backward. Yoon-ha caught him in a heartbeat. Yoon-ha sounded genuinely pressed. You good, bro? He tried to play it off. Yeah, my bad, I'm chilling. Guess I mismanaged my stamina bars a little bit. She didn't hesitate. I'm taking you to the dorms. What, are you scared of heights or something? Seo-hun answered instantly, nah. Before he could process the riz, she scooped him up in a bridal carry. Let's go. She planted a foot, ready to launch. Yoon-ha blasted off like a human rocket, cutting through the sky at insane speeds. Carrying him, her aura spiked. She was stunned. That snacky me, how did it unlock this much power? While being hauled through the air at Mach speed like a literal princess, Dean just surrendered to the plot. Everything is changing so fast compared to my past life. Meanwhile, Erica was still out there playing the waiting game on campus. Is Seo-hun still not here? I need to hand him this invitation ASAP. On the Babel Academy Alchemy Department's anonymous forum, someone just leaked a picture of Erica, and the chat is going absolutely feral. Why is she even here? Isn't she the rank 1 prodigy of the combat department? The comment section is filled with spam until one guy drops the T. She's been standing outside the alchemy building like a statue for 3 hours straight, shaking. Naturally, the NPCs are losing their minds. Is she waiting for the alchemy department's top student? Wait, didn't she do this at the dorms too? Is she just a stalker? Someone clapped back. Maybe she just wants to talk to him, idiot. I'm just guessing. Chill. Damn. The plot thickens. Seo-hun watches this drama unfold, feeling his brain cells dying as he wonders, what in the actual hell is going on? Seo-hun sighs, trying to talk himself off the ledge. Whatever, if it's really that important, they'll come crawling to me eventually. Right on cue, the classroom door swings open. A middle-aged man walks in and drops the bomb. Sup, losers. I'm Ricardo Smize, and I'll be teaching your tool proficiency class from now on. He slams his hand against the door to grab everyone's attention. First things first, get your asses to the training center. The last one to arrive runs 20 laps around the track. Move. Go. As soon as the command dropped, the students scrambled like headless chickens. Wait, why are we running? This is supposed to be a theory class. Seo-hun is pushed into the chaos, stressing out. Bruh, isn't this a lecture course? Since when do we do cardio? The rest of the class is just whining and malding, but Seo-hun realizes whatever, just run or get cooked. Eventually, they all make it to the destination. Unsurprisingly, Seo-hun gets singled out by Ricardos and told to finish his 20 laps. He's already gassed, but he keeps his cool. Yeah, I'm running. Keep your shirt on. The NPCs around him start whispering, typical haters. Look at his stamina, actual trash tier. How did this fraud even pass the intermediate forging exam? A bit later, Ricardos calls out, alright, eyes on me. Pay attention. He gets serious. Listen up. This course used to be just boring theory, but due to the recent fire sword incidents, the curriculum is getting a major buff. There's a group targeting high-tier blacksmiths who can forge hero-grade fire swords. They call themselves the Fire Sword Hunters. Keep your heads on a swivel. Seo-hun is still catching his breath, thinking, even in my past life, this was an unsolved mystery. Ricardos continues, no matter how much gear you craft, if you're a glass cannon, you're dead. Your body is your ultimate armor. Exactly. Ricardos raises his voice, so alongside the forging lectures, we're training you to actually defend yourselves. The class yells back, Sir, yes, sir! Ricardos looks pleased. Good, today's syllabus, swords. Seo-hun is locked in, already planning his next move. I need to be extra careful this time around. He keeps his legs moving, ignoring the burn. To survive, getting my physical stats up is top priority. Seo-hun clenches his fist, hanging his gear. I made this myself, but damn, the performance is S tier. System notification, Inkstone bracelet equipped. Absorbs wearer's mana to increase weight. Active skill. Explosion circle, grants gravitational control within a 1 meter radius. He checks his stats and sets his eyes on the prize. Average stats up by 5 points. By the end of freshman year, I'm turning this body into an absolute tank, no matter what it takes. After a while, Ricardos finally waves him over. Alright, enough running. Come here. Seo-hun looks down at his wrist, checking his explosion ring. Ricardo scans him with a judging eye. Not bad, kid. Your physical condition is better than I expected. He tosses a sword at Seo-hun. Let's see if you've got any talent for swordsmanship. Give it a swing. Seo-hun catches it and weighs it in his hand. A bit heavy thanks to the Inkstone bracelet dragging me down. He hesitates for a second. This isn't exactly a refined technique, but should I try using that move? He stops overthinking and swings the blade down. The other students immediately start clowning him. So slow, he's definitely gassed from the running. But one guy whispers, wait, his stance actually looks kind of legit. Ricardos, however, is having a different epiphany. No way, that was actually insane. That sword perfect. He already knows exactly where he's going. He turned around offering a critique. The tempo is too rushed. Fix that fundamental error before even thinking about continuing. Suddenly, Seo-hun's aura shifted. His gaze became razor-sharp, lethal enough to cut through dimensions. Ricardos felt his entire body shudder, a primal reaction to the sudden shift in atmosphere. Everything in his field of vision washed out into a blinding, terrifying white. Ricardos stood frozen, his mind completely stalled. He blinked, confusion turning to sheer panic as a cold blade hovered inches from his throat. Wait, am I actually tweaking? Ricardos thought. Am I really terrified of a literal engineering major? Did I just hallucinate that kill intent? He stammered out a question, his composure shattered. Who exactly taught you that sword style? Seo-hun flashed a polite smile, though internally he was having a massive bruh moment. Why did that even work? He remembered the guy saying it was just a 10-minute random improvisation. Flashback to the OG bum Wang-Su, scratching his ear. I told you, I'll pay back what I owe you eventually, just chill. Everyone hits rock bottom sometimes. Why are you being such a stress lord about it? He'd literally begged, can I pay you in techniques instead of cash? Just take the move and leave me alone. Back in the present, Seo-hun scratched his head and lied through his teeth. I just, watched a bunch of hero fight compilations on the net. Regresses wasn't buying the cap, but he smiled anyway. Your swordsmanship is raw. Do you actually want some real high-tier professional training? He pulled the ultimate plug. I'll write you a referral letter to the body control class at AGA QF. That afternoon, Seo-hun stood in the middle of the AGA center, looking like an NPC lost in a high-level dungeon. Wang-Su was stomping his feet, absolutely mauding. I told you 1,000 times, I've got nothing left to teach you. Why are you still here, Jack? Please, sir, don't be like that. That bum, he's actually a retired S-rank legend and a total regular at the local gambling den. None other than Wang-Su, the legendary swordbreaker. Seo-hun couldn't compute. The guy who spends his life drunk and losing money at the slots is supposed to be a professor? Seeing Seo-hun, Wang-Su grunted. Seo-hun handed over the letter. I'm Lee Seo-hun, metallurgy freshman. Recaro sent me. Wang-Su raised an eyebrow. Jack scrambled up from the floor. He's the top student of the BOSPA department this year, boss. Wang-Su squinted at him, keeping it real. Looking at him, he just seems like a total mid-tier extra. Wang-Su got straight to the point. So kid, you're actually thirsting to learn from me? Seo-hun locked in, full hype? Yes sir, more than anything. Hearing that, Wang-Su pointed a finger at Seo-hun with a devious grin. Alright then. If you can take down this brat here, I'll consider taking you on as a student. He set the rules. 1 round, 1 hit. First one to land a clean strike wins. Simple as that. Wang-Su flicked his hand, signaling the start. Aight, let's see what you're cooked with. Start! The moment the word dropped, Jack launched himself like a rocket. Seo-hun stood dead still, his grip tightening on his training blade. Wang-Su watched with a curious eye. Is he trying to optimize flexibility by completely zeroing out his muscle tension? If that's his play, the counter is to grapple him, not trade blows. Meanwhile, Jack was already closing the gap to deliver the strike. Wang-Su sighed in pure annoyance. This is exactly why I hate these flashy show-offs. They're so busy playing 4D chess that they forget how to actually throw hands. He groaned. Total mid-tier performance, zero excitement, absolute buzzkill. Without wasting a single frame, Jack lunged forward and locked him in a bear hug around the waist. Seo-hun gritted his teeth, genuinely caught off guard by the sudden escalation. What kind of cheat code strength is this? Seo-hun thought, panicking internally. He didn't hesitate to pop his ultimate active skill, Explosive Circle. The raw power surged outward in a blinding flash of pure, unadulterated aura. Seo-hun successfully clutched the situation, though he couldn't help but hiss in actual pain. Seo-hun's fist was already inches from Jack's face, blood dripping from the latter's nose like a leaky faucet. With a smug, villainous grin, Seo-hun chirped, looks like I'm just a little faster than you, huh? The room went dead silent until Jack finally choked out. That last move was actually, but he got cut off by a booming voice. Wang-Su stepped in. Alright everyone, disperse. I did say I'd tutor the winner, didn't I? Seo sat up, immediately going for the jugular since he lost to me. Doesn't that mean you owe me a lesson, Teach? He went full savage. I mean, imagine the campus goddess finding out the star student of AGAQF lost to some trash from BEPA department. Sounds pretty pathetic, right? Jack stood there, completely NPC brain-rotted. Pathetic? Wang-Su chuckled. He's got a point. Maybe I should humble this idiot a bit so he can actually survive out there. He turned to Seo-hun with pure hype energy. I'll drop a schedule in your inbox. Don't you dare be late. Jack was basically vibrating with joy. He bowed like his life depended on it. Thank you so much, Sensei. Wang-Su just waved him off. If you're done glazing me, get lost. He then turned his gaze towards Seo-hun. I've still got some private business to discuss with this kid. Once they were alone, Wang-Su demanded, show me that sword technique you used against Regresses. Seo-hun nodded, understood. He got into his stance, eyes sharp, and dashed forward with his blade humming. But in a split second, Wang-Su flicked his wrist and sent Seo-hun's sword flying like a toy. Seo-hun stood there stunned while the master muttered, that was a move meant to end the fight before it even started. Wang-Su went cold. The concept is okay, but the execution? Absolute garbage. You think it's normal for a sword style to leak its weak points by the second strike? He started ranting. If I ever find the clown who taught you this and claimed it was top tier, I'm breaking their legs. Ironically, he was the one who taught it to him. Wang-Su sighed. Just wait, I'm gonna fix your broken fundamentals and build you into a real beast. Seo-hun didn't miss a beat, so does this mean I'm officially on the roster? Wang-Su gave him a you're an idiot look, obviously genius. Seo-hun finally felt like he could breathe. In that case, I'll be taking my leave. After Seo-hun left, Wang-Su muttered to himself, this kid is stubborn as a brick. Outside, Seo-hun grumbled, acting all high and mighty just because he's fulfilling a warranty service. Right on cue, Jack popped out of nowhere. Yo, wait up. Seo-hun looked back, confused. You're still here? Jack whipped out an envelope. I've got something for you. Seo-hun stared at it. The hell is that? Jack explained, an invite to Nobusi. It's basically where all the elite rich kid drama happens. Seo-hun realized it instantly. Was this Erika's move all along? Jack was hyped. It's full of arrogant pricks, but it's a massive W for your career. Seo-hun hesitated, thinking, is this a trap, or is it actually worth the trouble? My boy flashes a blinding smile, thanking the dude because without his help, he wouldn't have even made the cut for that class. Seo-hun keeps it cool with a thanks, but while he's cruising down the street later, he's low-key checking his stats and the subclasses he's picked so far. A barrier construction and body control, but he's already looking to cook something up in the BIPA department too. Decisions, curses, or enhancement? But while he's lost in thought, he accidentally bumps into a wild NPC. Seo-hun stops dead in his tracks and drops a quick "my bad" to the stranger. But wait, his eyes lock on a mystery girl who's already grabbed his wrist like she's scanning him for hidden loot. "Yo, did you actually craft this masterpiece yourself?" she asks, eyes sparkling with pure hype. Seo-hun gives her that absolute Chad energy, and if I did, what of it? Then she hits him with the ultimate offer. "How about I perform a god-tier enhancement on this for you?" System notification, a soul link with target Leah Claudel has been successfully established. Say hello to the goat who can boost gear by 2 whole ranks just by breathing on it. She's the genius among geniuses, a literal legend known for forging mythic tier equipment. The girl who basically broke the entire enhancement meta. Leah suddenly screams in shock, "Wait, is this inkstone actually rare grade?" She's geeking out over the stats, thinking if she just adds a few secret recipes, no, this masterpiece is too cracked to just stop here. Leah starts clutching her head in a total mental breakdown over this problem, while Seo-hun just stares, thinking she's a total weirdo, and asks, "Is the gear mid or what?" Leah's like, "The problem is I want to do everything to it. It's inkstone, but why is the compatibility literally off the charts?" She's suffering from success with too many recipes to choose from, so Seo-hun just slams another item on the table like a boss. If that's the case, this should help. Seeing her soul leave her body in confusion, he drops a reminder, "Wait, there's still more." Seo-hun warns her to watch out for the resonance effect. Don't say he didn't warn her when things start vibrating. Leah's hyped as hell, asking who this mysterious Chad even is, and he just drops the flex, "I'm Lee, freshman alchemist and the one top student at BIPA this year." She's absolutely shook. "A freshman? No shot. I'm a third year from the enhancement department." Suddenly, some random NPC interrupts the vibes. "We need to talk. Follow me for a second." Seo-hun clocks him instantly. "Is this Erica's little errand boy?" Leah's fuming. "Can't you see we're busy, you clown?" The guy tries to keep his voice low to play it cool, but Seo-hun hits him with the cold shoulder. "If you've got something to say it right here." The lackey sighs and demands an apology for being rude to Lady Erica. How dare he rip up her invite in front of the whole squad? Seo-hun is genuinely confused, like, "Bro, the lady herself literally told me to rip it." The guy goes full rage mode, shouting that Seo-hun should never even touched a Myers family invite in the first place. Seo-hun's done with the games. "Did Erica send her dog to bark at me?" But the guy quickly denies it. "Nah, this is all me," he claims, while Leah just starts laughing at this absolute clown. "Yeah, totally believable, massive L." She calls him out immediately. "Everyone knows you're just the young master's loyal lapdog," and the guy is absolutely triggered. "How dare a piece of trash like you act up? You really think you're special, don't you?" He rants that Babel is full of geniuses way above Seo-hun's level, but our MC doesn't even blink before clapping back. "Wait, when you say that, are you actually talking about yourself?" That roast hit the guy like a 10-stack lightning bolt, leaving him absolutely cooked. The dude straight up loses it, screaming, "Shut your mouth." Seo-hun watches his power pop off, but man doesn't even flinch, just reaches out like he's bored. With just one hand, he tanks the entire swarm of phantom beasts like they're literally nothing. Pulse of mana vanishes, and Seo-hun hits us with a big brain take, called it. "Not just raw mana, you're using that sword as a conduit to project illusions, kinda mid, NGL." The guy is stuttering, looking absolutely shook. "How are you doing this?" Seo-hun casually twirls his weapon. "Maybe I'm just built different." He lets out a hype laugh. "Man, this is sounding delicious." System notification. Binding mark Iron of Greed officially activated. The guy is down million credits. Gone. Just like that. Seo-hun smirks, radiating pure Chad energy. "With flavor this elite, no wonder you were losing your mind over it." System analysis. Iron of Greed High Tier Supreme. A parasitic metal that generates heat by devouring other ores. Corrodes anything it touches, absorbing their cores to buff itself. Durability. 78%. The circle explodes in a blink. Seo-hun closes the gap and delivers a masterclass liver shot. The guy folds like a lawn chair, absolutely cooked. Seo-hun turns to look at Leah, his aura shifting from menace to charismatic student. "So, senpai, any classes in the reinforcement department that you'd recommend for me?" Leah turns bright red, stuttering out, "Ancient reinforcement, it's quite prestigious." She adds, "We have an incredibly talented upperclassman there named Leah Claudel." After he leaves, the guy is still clutching his stomach on the floor, cursing his existence. He's malding. No way a freshman has reflexes that cracked. Suddenly, Erica slides into the frame. "Sorry, I'm gonna need to borrow that sword for a sec." The guy jumps out of his skin. "Lady Erica, how long have you been standing there?" The minion hands it over like a good NPC. "Here you go, my lady." Erica checks the blade. "Keep your mouth shut about this to my brother. I'll deal with the family head myself." He scratches his head, looking clueless. "Yes, ma'am." Erica does a silent vibe check. "As I thought, a conduit. Anti-theft sigils are already carved in." She's spiraling internally. Did he really invent a counter skill on the fly using Robert's mana theory? Erica's mental state is officially unstable. Lee, his smithing talent might actually be higher than S rank. I need to bump his mana compatibility rating to A rank immediately. System notification. A new bond has been established with Erica in-out. Seo-hun is confused as hell. "Wait, what just happened?" He starts theorizing, was she stalking me while I was bullying that minion? Seo-hun looks at his blades, plotting his next move. Well, at least the loot was worth it. Still short a few, but if I weave in some black spirit thread, it'll be god tier. He yawns, bored out of his mind. Whatever, I was hyped for Professor Kim In-shin's class, but it's just dry theory I already memorized. Suddenly, In-shin cuts in pure business mode. Enough preamble. Let's get to the real meat of this lecture. He grabs an item, dropping knowledge. Even with the same metal, the end result changes based on how you calibrate your mana flow. As In-shin speaks, a stone manifests in thin air. The real lesson starts now. Mastering metal deformation is the absolute cheat code for crafting god-tier gear. Inon drops the materials on the table, and Seo-hun instantly snaps the metal back to its original state like a pro. Listen up, noobs. If you're going to be a blacksmith, you better understand your materials or you're just wasting everyone's time. In-shin drops the challenge. Today's training session is all about deformation mechanics on these iron ingots. He hands out the stones with a warning. Use your mana flow to carve a 3-centimeter groove in the center, but be careful. This metal is hypersensitive and one wrong move will cook your progress. Seo-hun smirks, realizing the old man is finally low-key validating his magic forging methods. In-shin calls out, 10 minutes on the clock, go! Let the chaos begin. The NPCs are already losing their minds, fumbling with their ingots like absolute frauds. It's not reverting back, and they're panic crying about it. Suddenly, 2 players step into the spotlight. Seo-hun says casually done while Han shoots him a glare and adds, me too, sensei. Inon gives a rare W solid work, you two can move on to the next phase. He drops a fresh complex diagram on the table. Try replicating this specific sequence, he commands. Han eyes Seo-hun with main character syndrome energy. My speed and precision are top tier, I'm basically his equal. This is it, I'm finally gonna mog him, Han thinks while Inon keeps lecturing on the advanced pattern. Han rushes the process with major main character delusions thinking, the plot armor is on my side today. Han is out here daydreaming about the entire class simping over his perfect results. But once he finishes, Inon hits him with a reality check. Han, turn that ingot back to its original state right now. Han freezes, looking like a total clown. Wait, what? He tries to pull it off, but his confidence immediately crumbles. Why is it failing? Han realizes his mana flow is absolute trash and the structure is completely ruined. Inon doesn't hold back. That ingot is bricked because you ignored the material's limits. Your technique is flawed from the jump. Han tries to cope, but I followed the manual perfectly. Inon shuts him down. I told you to respect the material's potential. You clearly weren't listening. Inon continues the verbal roast. If you can't revert the mana structure, you aren't deforming it. You're just turning high-tier gear into literal garbage. This is a massive skill issue that ruins performance, Inon adds, and Han hangs his head in shame, forced to accept the L. Han glances at Seo-hun thinking, there's no way he actually understands the secret behind this, right? He clings to his copium. He's just Lushkin PC who got it right by accident. But then Seo-hun clears the task effortlessly. The metal reverts perfectly. The classroom is in shambles. Wait, didn't the professor just say that was impossible? Is he hacking? Even In-shin is shook. Student Lee Seo-hun, care to repeat that demonstration so we can all witness this glitch in real time? Seo-hun sighs, I accidentally made him think I'm a god, and explains it only worked because the metal was pre-calibrated for students. A normal ingot would never hold up to this. Inon's mind is blown, realizing the logic behind the feat. He reflects in silence, shocked that even a veteran like him overlooked such a crucial detail. Behold the legendary master blacksmith and top-tier conqueror, the Holy Flame leans. He's been crafting this masterpiece since his S-rank hero days, refining it over decades of pure grind. Still, not a single soul has managed to debunk his genius. The distortion formula, the sacred truth of steel, the literal core of every blacksmith's existence. Watching this, Inon's having a midlife crisis. There's no way this kid can crack it, right? Am I actually glazing him too hard? Seo-hun just hits him with a bet, thinking, if I pull this off again, that's 2 wins in a row, baby. As the sun sets, Inon calls it, get out of here, you NPCs. Student Seo-hun, stay back for a sec. Seo-hun stops, playing it cool. What's up, teach? Inon drops the loot. Consider this a welcome gift for helping me set up the system interface. It's a Crimson Flame Ore. System notification. Crimson Flame Ore contains the essence of primordial flame, specialized for melting mixed ores into liquid. Seo-hun is hesitant, but inflexes. Absorb its essence and your Crimson Flame skill will permanently evolve. I prepped this specifically for your fire-wielding potential. Seo-hun plays the respectful student card. Thank you, sensei. This is exactly the buff I needed to cook. Inon pivots to the side quest. Also, you trying to sign up for my elective? Seo-hun stays calm. You mean the basic equipment research class? Inon's eyes widen. Wait, you actually heard of that? Of course I have. Seo-hun's internal monologue. That's the most over-budget S-tier class in the whole academy. Seo-hun is sweating. What's the play? In my past life, Kim In-hun didn't exist, which usually means he had a tragic off-screen ending. But currently, the old man is living rent-free in everyone's minds as a top-tier professor. Seo-hun hits him with a W. I'm in, teach. Inon's concerned, you sure? You've already got a packed schedule. Seo-hun brushes it off, adding this one just makes it my 4th class, no biggie. In, clearly impressed, offers a handshake. Looking forward to working with you. Seo-hun bet. System notification. Extracting link from target Kim In-hun. Link established with creator Seo-hun. Link, Kim In, imbued with fire. A metal E wood tier stats. Good for internal flame storage. Seo-hun is galaxy braining. If I can extract metal from a human, does that mean I can forge and temper human bodies too? See, when you've got multiple mana types clashing inside you, you're basically a walking ticking time bomb. To a blacksmith, precision is God, so the unspoken rule is stick to one affinity or get cooked. But me? I'm built different. My internal mana is burning through my reserves at an insane rate. Once the mana tank hits 0, the body starts chugging that crimson flame essence like it's oxygen. As a Chad Blacksmith, my next move is to build a custom mana circuit for that crimson flame right inside my own bloodline. A second later, Seo-hun exhales. It's working. This is the only way to forge myself into a living weapon. System node affinity has evolved. Crimson flame rank increased from F to E+. System notification, skill unlocked body forging magic. The human body is the ultimate raw material. Temper your internal circuits to skyrocket your base stats. System notification stats upgraded. Seo-hun, strength D, durability D, mana D, speed E. Seo-hun grinds his teeth, remembering his past life's failure. You had the materials in your hand and you gave up? The memory of her taunting laugh echoes. He isn't about to repeat that L. That's right, I'm going to squeeze every ounce of value out of what I've got. Time to level up. Whether they're allies or enemies, I'm making sure this time around I have zero regrets. In the massive stone-floored hall, a voice boomed. Today, we finalize the projects you've been crafting. These items are slated for supply both inside and outside the academy. The redhead, standing with his hands on his hips, barked, "Your results today will define the entire semester, so give it your all." Clear? Everyone shouted in unison, "Clear." Seo-hun scanned his status window, mind racing. Everything is an absolute mess. My body's physical lag is making me miss way too many details. Grip tight-ticking on his hammer, he thought, no time to play it safe anymore. Flames erupted, heat waves slashing through the air. A pot boiled over, steam rising. Sun watched the long blade in his hand, thinking, this should be decent enough for now. Panic set in with the time left. Finishing the rest is going to be a massive pain, and if I just aim for average, I might bag some extra budget. He placed it on the grindstone, realizing that pouring his soul into at least one top-tier masterpiece is the only move that makes sense. His hands moved with surgical precision, grinding the blade down. He stood there in a trance, a rhythmic sound echoing deep inside his head. It sounded like the literal apocalypse was knocking at the door. His eyes locked on. Every time he hears this resonance, he knows he's about to cook up something legendary. Pure laser-like focus. This isn't just about adjustment. It's about engraving his aura into the steel, the white light flickering to life. System notification, the white light longsword is complete. A true master blacksmith breathes his will into the basics, and this technique proves why he's top tier. Ding, you have unlocked the skill. White light flow and two gleaming swords appeared with their stats. White light longsword, rare grade, a pure white high-quality blade sharpened to perfection and infused with magic. It's a total flex of a weapon with insane durability and cutting power. Seo-hun exhaled, holding his new craft. Considering I used basic iron, this result is actually cracked. He felt a glimmer of hope. His pre-regression skills are slowly coming back, while two knights behind him looked at the sword and started low-key sobbing. I hate this feeling. Should I just drop out now? The next Saturday morning, while the redhead was chilling at a cafe scrolling through his phone, a voice chimed in. I really can't believe you actually want to see my reinforcement technique. Seo-hun scanned his surroundings. I mean, I'm genuinely curious about your basics, but damn, this place is packed, Leah noted. Don't trip, my workshop is in a way quieter spot. On the way to a peaceful farm, Seo-hun asked, isn't this a bit too far? And she shot back, you thought watching my skills was going to be a walk in the park? She dragged him into Aga QF hardware store, here we are, and yelled inside Grandma. I'm here. Helena sat there, picking her ear with a scowl. I'm not deaf, you brat, stop screaming. Seo-hun walked in, only for the old lady to side-eye him. Who's this kid, your boyfriend? Leah stood her ground, as if. Seo-hun smiled politely as she spoke, but the old lady sniffed. Babel Academy? Must be on the decline if they're taking in weaklings like this. Helena stood up. I'm Helena. Seo-hun bowed. I'm Lee Seo-hun, a first year in the metallurgy department. She snapped. Enough yapping, get to work! We've got a mountain of trash-tier projects from these freshmen. While Leah just sighed and rolled her eyes. Yeah, I get it. She pointed a bony finger toward the back room. The smithy is that way. Seo-hun scanned the room, eyes locking onto the materials. This grandma's skill set is low-key cracked. She's definitely hiding more than she's letting on. He trailed behind, observing everything. Why is a top-tier craftswoman slumming it in a rundown shop like this? He watched her work. Man, this backlog of orders is actually depressing. A palette flooded with vibrant colors sat on the table. That's a reinforcement palette, alongside powders ground from high-grade magic stones. Seo-hun crossed his arms, low-key judging the setup. Standard is 8 colors, but you're pushing way more than that. Are you actually restoring damaged reinforcement formulas with these? Helena gripped her brush with absolute precision. You caught on fast, kid. She worked the brush like a pro, dipping into the palette while holding the tool. It pays the bills, and I get to experiment with reinforcement without worrying about the cost of materials. Win-win. Those glowing lines on the blade were hitting different. She turned a basic piece of trash into a masterpiece. Seo-hun stood there dead silent, just observing. He thought back to why he even came here. She's been stuck in a professional slump for way too long. Flashback, some loser once told him he was washed up, a total failure who couldn't even keep his spot as valedictorian. L behavior from them, obviously. Watching Helena lock in with that brush, it clicked. I found the root of her stagnation, and more importantly, I know exactly how to fix this canon event. He turned away, mind racing. Being able to lose yourself in the craft like that, that's main character talent right there. Hands in his pockets, he leaned against the wooden table and something instantly caught his eye. This piece, it'll resonate with the mana flow perfectly, creating a busted special effect. He leaned in for a closer look. Man, it's been a minute since I've done any silver engraving. My hands are itching to work. Helena side-eyed him. Go ahead, try it if you think you've got the riz for it. She frowned, watching him. If you're actually built different, pick any piece from the pile and prove it. Seo-hun smirked. She's totally trying to test him. He locked eyes with the blade. If I'm allowed to use this high-tier sharpening stone, I'm absolutely cooking. He reached out, his hand wrapping firmly around the handle. Helena crossed her arms, watching like a hawk. You're actually going through with it? Seo-hun felt the blade, the weight was perfect. Yeah, the edge is worn evenly, no twisting. This was used by someone who actually knows how to handle a sword. He positioned the whetstone, mind calculating the density. This stone has the mana particles compressed perfectly. It's enough to push this blade to its absolute limit. With surgical precision, he started grinding. The movement was pure art. Helena stood frozen, internal monologue going wild. Is this kid actually just a freshman? No way. Leah suddenly shrieked with excitement, startling the old lady. It's already done? Helena blinked, snapped out of it. Wait, when did you get here? She didn't even look back. I don't even know anymore. Leah stepped up, looking at the masterpiece. You tried to find a flaw to roast our junior, but ended up getting schooled instead, didn't you? Helena shoved her away, face turning red. Shut up, will you? She turned to Seo-hun, who was standing there awkwardly. You finished all of it? He flashed a polite smile. This is the best I could do for now. I'll do even better next time. Helena flicked the sword through the air. Yeah, whatever. Just get out of here before I change my mind. Leah grabbed his arm, pulling him out. She's just being a sunder for no reason. Let's go. Back inside, the old lady stood there with her hands on her hips, staring at the spot where he'd just worked his magic. Suddenly, a guy in a sharp suit bangs on the door. Yo, lady, you still grinding away in there? Helena glares at him, annoyed. Keep it down, will ya? He awkwardly rubs his head, clearly stressing. The orders are piling up. What's the status on that kitchen knife? He's losing his cool, venting. How much longer are you going to waste your life in this restaurant? You were supposed to be a top-tier professor in the combat department. She snaps back. Stop nagging about my hobbies, you absolute NPC. He marches in, grabs the knife from the table, and goes, oh, so this is it. Suddenly, he senses something different. He narrows his eyes, turning back. Hey, did you polish this while drunk or something? She stands there, arms crossed, looking away. I didn't touch it. He follows up. Then don't tell me this is the work of those mid-tier apprentices you've been hanging out with. Their skills couldn't have leveled up this much, could they? Helena bows her head, closing her eyes. It was a freshman. He turns around, mind absolutely blown. Say what now? Her eyes snap open as she drops the truth. A kid from this year's new intake. He's the one who sharpened it. Thinking back to Seo-hun, he's like, who the hell is this guy exactly? Seo-hun steps outside and asks, is the old lady at the smithy really a former professor from the metallurgy department? Leah, walking beside him, replies, yep, I heard she retired 5 years ago and opened that shop in Aga QF. He shoots her a side eye. You think there's some hidden agenda behind that? She glances back. I doubt it. Probably nothing special, honestly. Images of the academy flash as she explains that, in the last 5 years, a bunch of professors have been quitting the metallurgy department. He looks over. Is that so? Deep down, Seo-hun is thinking, if this place is destined to become the bottom-tier trash heap of the academy, this is definitely a plot point I can't ignore. Leah gestures to her chest, brimming with confidence. More importantly, what do you think of my enhancement technique? He snaps out of his thoughts, looking down at her. The basics are fine, I guess. Nothing to write home about. Her face goes from proud to shook. Hey, that's harsh. Suddenly, he drops the hard truth. Your way of thinking is way too narrow. The vibe shifts, and Leah jumps in front of him, looking offended. What did you just say? Seo-hun points a finger right at her. You've already thought of better methods, you're just too scared to actually apply them. She stammers, totally caught off guard. How did you even realize that? Leah looks like she's about to enter her villain arc, head hanging low. If you don't know, you learn. But if you know and don't do it, that's the real L. A smith's imagination is their biggest weapon, and you're out here capping your own potential. Her whole world feels like it's shattering. It's like she's looking right through me. You think I'm doing this because I don't know any better? Seo-hun winks, sighs, and starts digging through his coat. He pulls out a sword, leaving her completely stunned. I've got stuff to do, so I can't show you for long. Open your eyes and watch closely. He pulls a stone from the water as an example. Assume someone tells you to place a stone under the water. Creating the stone and dropping it, that's basic blacksmithing. The image fades out. But etching the image of that sinking stone onto the water itself, that is the art of enchantment. That's why enchantment is always built on the soul of a dream. A sword manifests, surrounded by blood-red light, absolute aura. The blade hovers in front of her, crackling with white light sword energy. It emanates pure power. Don't just buff the surface. Inject that enchantment deep into the weapon's core. He watches the knife in his hand, power swirling around it. If one layer isn't enough, stack them up in stages. Seo-hun swipes his hand down hard. He tosses it back and it slams into the ground, a perfect clean hit. Everything goes quiet, like time stopped for that surge of power. He stares down, lost in deep thought. I can't say for sure if this is the standard way to enchant, he thinks, looking at Leah as she ponders, but geniuses like her, they usually find the path even when they're stuck in their own heads. Suddenly, Leah panics and points behind her. Hubei, lend me that thing for a sec. Please, I'm begging you. She starts shaking Seo-hun like a rag doll. I promise I'll perfect it and give it back. Please, please, please. He's literally sweating, handing over the item just to get her to stop. I don't mind, but if you're taking that, take this too. She jumps for joy, acting like she just found her soulmate. I think I'm actually falling for you. She vanished into thin air, leaving our boy standing there looking like a total lost NPC. System notification, Leah Claudel bond established. Current sync level 1. Creator Seo-hun. Seo-hun just sighed, muttering, man, this girl is still so childish. Standing in the crowded campus square, Seo-hun's brain was working overtime. Today was the day he'd finally see one of the three hounds, the legendary clashes between the Mad Dog and the light-slaying demon god back in the day. He remembered Erica tailing him earlier, which was sus enough, so he finally snapped, "What are you even doing?" She whispered with that creepy stalker energy, "Just following you, obviously." Seo-hun hit her with the cold shoulder. "If I told you to get lost, would you?" She stepped up, matching his pace. "I would, but I'd just watch you from a distance anyway." Seo-hun just glanced back and sighed, "Yeah, figured you'd say that." He stepped inside, "Whatever. Let's just get this over with." Item, frozen snow crystal. A refined magical ore used to stabilize mana chaos when mixing materials. Another stone appeared. Item, Leah Claudel's complex burst core, rare, quality, top tier. An iridescent ore that acts as a massive amplifier to unlock the hidden potential of mixed materials. Suddenly, the giant stadium screen lit up with a cute mascot, booming, "Welcome, freshmen of Babel Academy, to the legendary martial arts arena. Sending my warmest greetings to everyone watching this ranking match." She winked at the camera, dripping with main character energy. "I'm the youngest professor in the martial arts depth and your commentator today. Name's Jian Fang." Under the spotlight, her voice echoed, "No more stalling. Let's introduce our fighters for today." A tall, imposing woman stepped into the light. First up, we have the fourth-year valedictorian of AGA QF, heir to the Myers family, the factory for S-rank heroes. She flipped that golden hair like a queen, a total superhuman, breaking records and hogging the one spot at the arena for 3 years straight. She's an active A-rank hero and the undisputed champion. Her face appeared on screen, the sword saint herself, the one who finally conquered the peak of the hero tower, Arya Mir. The crowd went wild as Seo-hun and Erica watched from the rafters. Arya's absolute mommy energy had everyone simping, while the challenger stepped up, wielding a blade like Korea's national treasure, heir to the Firewheel Spear style, third-year valedictorian and top contender for the top 10. Yom Sunga. Seo-hun narrowed his eyes. "So we finally crossed paths, huh?" Sunga unleashed his aura, the Mad Dog. John screamed his name as he launched a flurry of flaming strikes that scorched the earth. Arya just parried it like a boss, flicking her sword to launch him backward. Sunga gritted his teeth, gripping his wooden weapon like his life depended on it. Arya's eyes glowed with that cold, terrifying intent. A vortex of flames spiraled around her, looking like it was about to delete Seo-hun from existence. Seo-hun watched from above, thinking. Even for his age, he's mid-tier at best. Is he seriously not getting the support a Firewheel successor deserves? Sunga steeled himself, but Seo-hun spotted the issue. He's got some grit, but that trash gear is holding him back. Suddenly, Sunga tossed his equipment aside and charged in. Whoosh, Arya's blade missed his throat by a hair. Sunga froze, staring at the cold steel at his neck, then slumped his shoulders. "I lost." Arya lowered her blade, smiling. "You fought well. Match officially over. And the winner is none other than Arya Myers." Both of them are on the podium while the mic man keeps doing his job. Next up, we'll be interviewing both combatants. Or at least that was the plan, but Yam Seon-ha already ghosted the place due to unexpected business. She covers her mouth to hide a smirk. Fighting the rank 9 immediately after was just too much for me. Seon-ha quietly dips while the spotlight is hogging Arya. "How about I fill this awkward silence with a Q&A session instead?" The audience is hyped. Absolute W, they're totally down for it. Seon-hun glances over, eyes narrowing. That guy looks like he's having a total meltdown. He stands up and Erica turns around. "You leaving before the match is even finished?" He stuffs his hands in his pockets. Yeah, not really a fan of that mid-fighting style. He walks away, muttering, "Look at her, she's sweating bullets already, isn't she?" Erica looks worried, thinking it's a relief he's not here to hunt his brother. But why is he acting so pressed? Suddenly, a voice echoes behind her. "An interesting freshman, huh? Since when was Arya standing right there watching him?" Her orange eyes gleam with hope. "Maybe I've finally found someone worth my time." Seen his meditating in a park near the arena. Seon-hun rolls up, keeping it low-key, knowing Seon-ha is still alive and kicking. Seon-ha is flashing back to his flashy power moves. Even if he acts like a total rabid dog, he's a core member of the Suicide Squad and the absolute Chad who sacrificed himself to wipe out the demon god. Seon-hun stands behind him. Since he hasn't gone full villain yet, this is the perfect time to snag that connection stone. Seon-ha frowns, looking over his shoulder. "You were watching the training match, weren't you?" Seon-hun keeps his hands in his pockets. "Yeah, caught a bit of it." Seon-ha peeks back. "The fact you tracked me down here proves you aren't just some bottom-tier NPC. Seo-ha shoots him a sinister look. "It's you again? Why is the top-ranked student from the combat department lurking around here?" Seon-hun stands there, low-key confused. "Why is this guy acting so hostile?" He speaks up. "I came here hoping we could discuss a few things." Seo-ha turns his back. Seon-hun slowly closes the distance. "This is actually for your own benefit, senior." Before he can finish, Seon-ha squats down and snaps. "Maybe you don't get it, so I'll say this once. I absolutely despise weaklings." He gets right in Seon-hun's face, especially the ones who can't handle their own business, and those who think their little parlor tricks put them on my level. So whatever you want to say, just take it and leave. A sentence that hits harder than a truck. You lowly blacksmith. Recalling the old Seon-ha, he tells him to go back to his workshop and hammer out some gear. Know your place and stay in your lane. Honestly, compared to his Mad Dog era, this is actually pretty polite. Seon-hun is prepping his mana, thinking, looking at that attitude, I knew words weren't going to cut it. Sina glances back. "Looks like you're really not planning on stopping, are you?" He marches towards Seon-hun, who's already charging up. "Then let me send you a little message of my own." The next words stop Seo-hun dead in his tracks. The history of the firewheel spear ends right here by your own hand. Seo-hun lunges forward like a bullet, fist clenched, unleashing pure destructive aura. The punch Seo-hun throws at Seo-hun is effortlessly blocked by his power. A system notification pops up right as he gets sent flying back. Connection mark. Greed has officially been activated. Seo-hun scowls, shook. Did this guy really just neutralize a man-enhanced strike? Flames swirl around Seo-hun as he focuses on him. Not bad for a top-ranked freshman. Maybe he actually has the aura to stand and talk to me after all. Bro's aura is hitting different now. That residual hellfire, just the appetizer. This is the true power of the flame wheel spear. It's game over, kid. They're charging at each other like absolute madmen. Seo-hun's pulling a don't blink move, spitting flames like he's trying to cook the MC alive. Smoke clears, and there he is, stepping out like he's walking on a runway. Absolute main character energy. Seo-hun stunned, sweating bullets. What? How is he holding my flames like a fidget spinner? Those are supposed to obey my mana. Did he really just hijack the flames? Is this guy a walking cheat code? A streak of fire grazes his neck. Talk about a close shave. MC looks him dead in the eye, thinking this scrub is really pushing his luck. Seo-hun is losing his marbles, going full berserk mode. Man's about to have a total mental breakdown. Fun fact, the last time this pink-haired psycho popped off at the disaster gate, he basically leveled the whole plaza. Here comes the punch, a total overkill strike. The victim thinks his greed buff is about to expire, and his HP is already hitting the red zone. The fist is centimeters from his face, greed's timer hits 0, and his body is officially cooked. They both plummet like their gravity settings just got deleted. But wait, he caught the punch? Seo-hun shook to his core. Nah, it's Jack playing hero, tanking the hit like a gigachad. Jack Myers is in the house, ladies and gents. MC asks, you know this honor student from Bosepa? Jack stammers, we're acquaintances. MC drops the hand and dips. Time to bounce before this gets even more cringe. Jack's fanboying hard. Then he turns to the MC, Seo-hun, let's bounce. MC looks at him like he's a total NPC. Shut up, don't ever call me that weird name again. Let's move now. Meanwhile, Seo-hun is having an existential crisis. I almost lost my cool and turned into a villain. If I shamed the Spearmaster, my sensei would killed me. Yikes. Back on the street, Jack is leading the way. Bro, what was that? Trying to flex on a senior? If I didn't intervene, you'd be a ghost right now. Seo-hun just sighs. Me? Die? Please, that's not happening. Jack looks confused. What did you just say? System notification. Link with target Seo-hun established. He smirks. I was just playing mind games. Relax. Deep down, he's thinking extract the link stone. Remembering Seo-hun's fighting style, yeah, this guy used to be the mad dog. If he stays this soft, the link stone won't do much. Need to find a way to level up that bond and fast. He checks on Jack. Hey, you break anything in that hand? Jack flexes his palm, beaming like a golden retriever. I'm built different. My hands are made of steel. Seo-hun's internal monologue. Built different. Yeah, sure, buddy. Whatever, move along. He turns around, suddenly acting mysterious. So, what exactly did you say about my sister earlier? Shrugs. Oh, Ari Myers? Just that she's a bit of a diva, that's all. Jack looks like he's seen a ghost. You what? No wonder she's been grilling me about you all day. Seo-hun's face goes stone cold. She's actually paying attention to me, huh? Arya, the absolute queen of the battlefield, is lurking. MC sighs. She's a high-level hero, but talk about eavesdropping. Girl has super hearing or something. Jack warns, bro, stop talking smack. She's literally royalty. Seo-hun chuckles, hands in pockets. If she wants the smoke, I'm ready. Seo-hun's biggest obsession is beating Arya. If I become her main interest, Seo-hun is going to be my personal attack dog. Absolute 200 IQ play. He let out an exhausted sigh, looking totally done with life. Don't write it off like that. You have no idea what my sister is actually like. Before he could even finish, Seo-hun hit him with the coldest reality check. So she's just a petty, manipulative snake, right? He jumped, scanning his surroundings like a paranoid NPC. Whoa, chill, maybe don't use such heavy words, bro. Suddenly, his expression went dead serious. Seo-hun clammed up instantly, hearing the question, why do you have such a massive grudge against my sister anyway? Enter the Sword Saint, Arya Myers, rocking golden hair, sleek armor, and a black blade that screams I will end your bloodline. She stood there with pure Empress energy, staring down a horde of monsters like they were literal trash. Back in the day, that sword was just a mid-soulless piece of metal. Under the obsidian moonlight, Arya spread her wings and pointed that cursed blade toward the heavens. Then, the Sword Saint ghosted the world, and the person who stepped into the spotlight was the one who turned a demon god's legacy into her own personal weapon. Demon god annihilation. Seo-hun, hidden in the shadows, smirked, just looking at her as a walking red flag for trouble. He walked away, giving a lazy wave. I'm out. The poor guy left behind was just standing there, completely lagging in real life. Wait, what just happened? Suddenly, his phone started pinging with notifications. A message popped up on his screen from Big Sis Arya Myers. Looks like you made an interesting friend today. Tell me everything later, okay? He recoiled like he'd been tased. Is she seriously making me the middleman between them now? His eyes went pale and his soul basically left his body. Arya sent another message, radiating that toxic I'm watching you energy. Your petty, manipulative sister just asked you for a small favor. He stood on the street looking like a shell of a man. Damn it all. Cut to the next morning at the Babel Academy lecture hall. Seo-hun sat at his desk, rubbing his shoulder. It was still throbbing. Did I go too hard while cooking Seo-hun yesterday? Han sat in the row ahead, whispering, the schedule for the networking event is getting finalized soon. Then Riz rolled in on his tiny toy car, yelling at the top of his lungs, everyone shut up! He stood tall on his tiny ride, waving his cane like a maniac. I'm Rizdova. I'm handling your specialization classes for the next 2 weeks. We're focusing on attribute refining. The entire class turned pale as ghosts. This dude is a certified lunatic. Riz, however, stayed dead serious. Before we start, pay attention. You need to leverage this opportunity. First up, David. David flinched so hard his soul almost left his body. Yes, sir. Tiny Riz sat comfortably on his toy car, scrolling through his list, and the last one on the roster, Seo-hun. Hearing his name, he stood up. Han peeked back thinking, I wonder how much funding that fraud is actually getting. The guy next to him was thinking the exact same thing. Bet he's getting triple my budget. Riz dropped the bomb with zero hesitation. As for your budget, Seo-hun, it hasn't been officially announced yet. Seo-hun jumped, shocked. Wait, come again, Professor? He kept his hair covering his eyes, tired of people roasting his outdated emo look. Riz just stroked his white beard, calm as ever. Your assignment was so high tier and broken that it shattered all our expectations. The school decided to put it up for public auction for the second years this Wednesday. He kept explaining the logic. So, we're waiting for the final bid price to set your budget. Keep your pants on and wait a bit longer. Seo-hun frowned, deep in thought. Is this a trap by Vice Principal Michael? Did he pull some strings to single me out? His brain was overclocking, but he realized if something was actually shady, Professor Kim In-in would shut it down already. He bowed slightly. I understand, Professor. Riz didn't look so scary anymore, waving them into the next part of the lesson. Today's topic, excess mana. I've got an elite student helping me with this practical demo. Come on in. It was Seo-hun, and as Riz introduced him, meet your temporary TA Yo Seon-ha, third year in the Sword Arts Department at AGA QF. The student next to Seo-hun whispered, jaw dropped, wait, why is that legendary senior here? Man, these students are acting just as thirsty for him as they do for the campus goddesses. Professor Riz rolls in, dead set on teaching. Intro's over. Let's lock in these basics before we start cooking. Mana-infused spheres are the gold standard for weapon crafting. Excess mana manifests in two ways. First, the basic battery type. Second, the autonomous type. It either generates its own mana or siphons it from the atmosphere. High risk, high reward, absolute peak difficulty. Riz isn't playing around. Why? Because there's no blueprint for a mana core. It's all about the materials, the technique, and the user's personal flair. He glances at Seon-ha. So class, we're starting with the battery type. Assistant, show them how a real man does it. Seon-ha steps up, flexes those muscles, and bam, raw crimson mana floods the classroom. Pure, unadulterated aura. Fire-type mana is volatile as hell, the class mutters. It's a nightmare to stabilize. Seon-ha weaves 2 arcs of red fire. If he can tame that chaos, the storage capacity is off the charts. Absolute Chad move. Observe Riz lectures. My assistant is demonstrating a masterclass technique, the Crimson Lotus Wheel. Han is shook. This guy's control is god tier. I can barely manage a forge, and he's out here painting with flames? The whole class is spiraling. Riz holds up a device, smirking. Since we've got a S-tier assistant, you lot have no excuse. Homework due next Thursday, don't flop. The whiteboard says it all. Create a fire-type battery sphere in the shape of a wheel. Get creative, but if you fail the theme, you're cooked. Riz zips off on his little cart, hype levels through the roof. Hit the refining room, folks. And for the love of God, change into your gear first. Once the old man bounces, the vibe shifts. The students swarm Seon-ha like NPCs around a quest giver. Han and his squad smell an opportunity to clout chase with the legendary senior Seon-ha. Yo senior, Han approaches desperate for that main character energy. I'm Han and suddenly, the room gets ice cold. Seon-ha's aura is literally choking the air out of the room. Beat it. Han's entire aura evaporates. He scurries off, absolutely defeated. Yikes. The mood in the room just dropped to 0. Seon-ha stands there, face colder than a frozen tundra, eyes shut tight. Then those sharp eyes snap open. He knows exactly who's watching. Seon-hun is already walking away, not giving a damn when Seon-ha calls him out. Hey Seon-hun, stop. What do you know about me? Seon-ha radiates crimson, swirling mana like a boss fight. The Crimson Lotus Wheel mastery depends on the wheel count. Even Leon, the Flamesect prodigy, only hit 8 wheels. Seon-hun doesn't even turn around. Your 3 wheels were mid. If you actually tried, you'd hit 6 easily. Seon-ha chases him, fuming. Wait, what are you even talking about? Seon-hun stops dead. You touched the 7th wheel once, didn't you? He stuffs his hands in his pockets, totally unfazed. But you lost it, didn't you? It's over for you. Seon-ha is trembling with rage. How does he know that? I never told a soul. Seon-hun's voice is sharp enough to cut glass. I've got a natural talent for flames, and watching you fight? It's painful, it's messy. You can't even detonate the remaining mana properly. You're basically just letting it leak out like a total amateur. Seon-ha lunges forward, desperate. You think you're smart? Tell me why. Seon-hun stares him down. Seon-ha's jaw hits the floor, praying for a crumb of insight. I have a theory, Seon-hun says, then smirks. But why would I tell you? What? Seon-ha is losing his mind, veins popping, ready to snap. Name your price. What do you want? Seo-hun doesn't even blink, holding up one finger. First, you're paying a steep price for all my tips and guidance, my guy. He flashes 2 fingers now. Second, whenever you're faced with a mid-tier decision, you're consulting me. No questions asked. Seo-hun just walks off like a total Chad. Give me your answer before we step foot in that training room. Song-ha, not one to simp for indecision, fires back immediately. I accept. But you better prove you're not just capping, or we're done. Time skip to the afternoon at the forge, where a bunch of NPCs in matching uniforms are grinding away. Seo-hun is straight up raw dogging this craft, throwing materials into the furnace without even a blueprint. Is he actually insane enough to skip checking the ore quality before tossing it in? He's mixing fire attribute ores at a 7:3 ratio. Absolute madman behavior. 2 onlookers whisper behind his back, looking like absolute clowns. Is he griefing the furnace? Why is the department's top student acting like an NPC who lost his save file? Seo-hun's gaze doesn't even flicker. He's calculating like a human supercomputer. The temperature spikes until the mana starts leaking out. This is high-stakes gaming right here. Seo-hun yanks his gloves off and sticks his bare hands into the fire, manipulating the mana like a boss. That's that top-tier heat manipulation technique. Riz is sweating bullets watching from the sidelines. He's already using heat manipulation. Is this why Professor Kim Enan agreed to the public auction? A smug grin creeps onto Seo-hun's face. To the casuals, it looks like standard heat control, but for Yamsun, it's a whole different vibe. Another moment of silence, eyes locked. Watch closely, you might learn something. He stomps the pedal down with his boot, main character energy at its peak. Crimson fire mana swirls with a touch of dark void energy. The fire mana expands while the shadow mana drills deep into the core. By doing this, he's perfectly balancing those two conflicting mana flows, creating a flawless loop. Song-ha watches with his arms crossed, feeling a bit let down. That's it? Really? Seo-hun's pupils start spinning like a burning wheel, locked in on the prize. My second mana attribute, the one they said was forbidden because it ruins the flow of the burning wheel, Seo-hun mutters, while Seong-ha just stands there looking like a confused toddler. If I used it that way, I would have dropped to the 5th wheel level. Seo-hun looks shook. Say what now? Seong-ha demonstrates the 5-wheel technique right in front of him. I maxed out the Darkfire wheel, but I lack the gas to sustain 6. Seo-hun remains unfazed. Still, a Darkfire will beat 7 regular fire wheels any day. He looks visibly tilted, eyes shut tight. The Wawa Gate sends inspectors to audit the successors periodically. They create a massive black ring, and if your mana drops below the 6th wheel, you get kicked to the curb. Total L. Seo-hun shrugs off the old-school method. Then just do it the way you did before. Song-ha creates a sad little ring in his palm. That ain't gonna work, fam. The shadow mana is erupting behind the fire wheel. I've lost all control. Seo-hun rubs his temples, feeling that headache coming on. When is the inspector coming? Seong-ha tomorrow. He closes his eyes and starts brainstorming. Getting dropped from the successor program means getting expelled. Instant game over. He needs a fix in 24 hours. Suddenly, he slams his hand on Seong-ha's shoulder. Yep. Seo-hun looks hype, firing off a question. If your successor rank stays protected, can you do it? Seong-ha replies with dead serious aura, I can. Bet. Seo-hun smirks and pulls out a red black stone. System, linking Yamsun-ha. High-grade red resonant black stone equipped. A rare ore where fire and shadow mana coexist. The wavelength between these two is about to amplify your latent power. First things first, let's upgrade your weapon, King. Seon-ha led him to a premium training room, the exclusive AGA QF facility. Only the top 100 in the dojo or top 30 in the department get this privilege. Talk about a flex. Seon-hun just sighed. Someone's compensating for something, aren't they? He tapped the blue screen with his finger. You can change the UI settings, right? Time for a little makeover. Both of them stood there, watching the interface morph right before their eyes. Seon-hun pointed at the new background, smirking. Hua sec theme. You missing home that much, bro? Seon-ha stayed stone cold. Master sent it to me. I barely use it, chill. He pulled out the black stone, eyes gleaming with excitement. All right, let's cook up some training gear. With a casual flick of his finger, the black stone shattered perfectly in two. System alert. High-grade resonance black stone detected. Best quality, a rare ore where fire and dark mana coexist. These conflicting wavelengths are perfect for syncing with internal mana reserves. A sharp, lethal-looking pair of spears was forged in an instant. Done. Seon-ha grabbed them, looking a bit stressed out. Man's struggling with one spear, let alone two. Seon-hun kept that Chad energy. Dual wielding is the only way to manage these two mana types properly, skill issue. Seon-hun went full mentor mode, pointing out the instructions. Now create a fire wheel with your left and unleash dark mana with your right. Seon-ha looked shook. Just unleash it? Exactly. Stop overthinking. Seon-ha closed his eyes to lock in. His aura shifted, becoming razor sharp. He spun the spears with both hands in one fluid motion. Seon-ha suddenly froze as he noticed raw mana leaking from the spearhead. He stared at the weapon, completely lost. What was that? Seon-hun stayed calm. You let the dark mana leak into your left hand by accident. Genius. He felt the mana pulsing from the spear. Mixing attributes is natural, but his was so chaotic it was basically self-sabotaging. Probably because he's been suppressing his dark mana for way too long. Seon-hun slapped a ring onto his wrist. If you master both at once, hitting the 6th wheel is going to be a speed run. Wear this while you train. Seon-ha looked at the ring, a slight smirk on his face. Not bad, kid. You've got some high-tier gear. He dove into training, testing every stance imaginable. 3 hours of straight grinding flew by. Seon-hun watched from the side, grinning. Adapting this fast? I guess it helps when the training method was literally invented by your future self. He analyzed every cell in Seon-hae's body, syncing with the surrounding mana to see just how cracked his past self actually was. Breathing patterns, muscle movements, everything was peak. Weight distribution, mana wave flow across the body, and the final release at the spear tip. Seon-ha noticed the gaze and got curious. What are you staring at? Seon-hun rested his chin on his hands, playing innocent. What, just collecting data, bro? Seon-ha wiped sweat from his cheek, pausing for a sec. I need it to forge the weapon you're gonna be using later. Seon-hun lounged back in his chair like he owned the place. I'm just doing this for extra credit, don't get your hopes up. Seon-ha turned away, muttering, as if anyone expects decent gear from a freshman anyway. Seon-hun couldn't sit still, glancing off to the side, while Seon-hae swung the dual spears, slamming them down with insane power. Is there actually a reason you're so obsessed with keeping the successor spot? He didn't even turn around, keeping it brief. Master wants me to be the sect leader. He stood there, letting the spears hang low, his voice cold. As his disciple, I just follow his will, simple as that. The man who adopted the orphan Seo-hun and raised him was none other than the S-rank hero, the first master of the Wawa sect. His portrait was still hanging on the wall, name and face clear as day, Ion. Back in the day, he'd sit with young Seo-hun, petting his head and teaching him the ropes. Even after losing his power to an injury as a mentor and a father figure, he still lived rent-free in Seo-hun's head. Seo-hun clenched his fist, recalling the memory of the three of them meeting. Let's all get along, yeah? System. Bond level 3 unlocked. Yeah. Seo-hun narrowed his eyes, wondering, why are you actually helping me? His brows furrowed, eyes squeezed shut as he dove deep into his thoughts. It was the same bleak, desolate wasteland, stretching from the forests all the way to the 6 great demon realms. Every corner swallowed by the chaos swamp was now crawling with demonic beasts. Seo-hun swung his legs over the side of the chair, turning toward him. I plan to infiltrate every single one of those demon realms. To do that, I need bodyguards and I need the raw materials to craft them some gear. He didn't hesitate to give an ambitious okay hand sign. I mean, if you're the next heir to the Fire Flower sect, your stash must be fat, right? Watching his shameless display of gold digging, Seo-hun was speechless. This guy is a literal NPC merchant. Seo-hun's expression hardened, brows knitting together. Obviously, we barely know each other. Why the hell would I do charity work for you? Say what? Seo-hun tapped his spear against his shoulder. Are you saying if I want your help, I have to pay the toll? He glared, pointing his spear right at the MC's icy gaze. Help me become the sect leader of the Fire Flower sect, and then I'll follow you into the 6 great demon realms. Memories of their past life flickered. It was the exact same line Seo-hun had once said. Craft me a weapon and I'll wipe out the demon gods for you. Seo-hun's lips curled into a smirk, pulling a brand new dark stone from between his fingers. You sure you won't regret this? Violent mana crackled between his palms, surging from the dark stone. Now, whether you like it or not, I'm dragging you to that sect leader throne. System Dark Resonance Link activated. In the training hall on the first floor of Flavium, Hyeon-un arrived, acting all high and mighty with his little entourage of followers. Long time no see, young master. I'm Gang Hyeon-un, the 7th Circle instructor of the Fire Flower sect. Seo-hun side-eyed the 3 goons behind him. And who are these NPCs? Hyeon-un gestured grandly, introducing them as elites handpicked by the sect leader himself, claiming they needed to broaden their horizons by sparring with the young master. He even covered his mouth to stifle a smug giggle, dropping a backhanded compliment. After all, you're the most talented one right after the official successor. Seo-hun wasn't vibing with the disrespect, his eyes turning cold enough to freeze hell. The next successor hasn't been set in stone yet, instructor. Watch your mouth before you get checked. Hyeon-un kept that fake, oily smile plastered on his face. Oh, my sincerest apologies, I must have had a momentary lapse in judgment. Hyeon-un extended his arm, finally cutting to the chase. So shall we begin the capability test? Seo-hun shut him down immediately. No, System UI promotion request to 7th Circle initiated. I want to take the 7th Circle promotion exam. Hyeon-un looked at him like he was a total clown. A dimwit who only knows how to grind is dreaming of the sect leader's chair. Remembering his backers' orders, Hyeon-un got arrogant. If that brat wants to challenge the 7th Circle, just crush him into the dirt. No matter what happens, I'll handle the aftermath. Hyeon-un stood opposite him, acting like a textbook villain. From the 7th Circle onwards, the test includes a direct duel against an instructor. Think about the great elder Yome Jinhan back at the main sect. Isn't this a bit too early for you, boy? Seo-hun didn't even flinch. You're yapping way too much. Seo-hun went straight for the jugular, attacking his pride. Or are you just terrified of losing your precious instructor rank? Triggered, Hyeon-un snapped and barked at his men. Bring me my spear, now. This 7th Circle promotion exam would be decided by a domain duel. Hyeon-un gripped his spear, ready to swing. The rules of a domain duel are simple. It's a pure power clash. Whoever has the stronger fire wheel wins. To pass, you either win or fight to a draw. Seo-hun's eyes locked onto his target, dual blades drawn as the signal sounded. Alright. Seeing his basic tier weapons, Hyeon-un scoffed. Using daggers? How unrefined. Seo-hun didn't care, eyes blazing as he charged forward, cloaked in savage, crimson demonic flames. Hyeon-un stood his ground, still playing the role of the condescending mentor. Did you forget the teachings about suppressing your dark attribute mana? That chaotic trash fire of yours will never be recognized as a true fire wheel. Seo-hun had just grinned, massive rings of fire swirling around him. Let's see what happens once we actually start cooking. Hyeon-un is acting real cocky, just spinning his spear behind his back. Bro is about to learn the definition of regret. He locks in, entering a stance as his fire ring starts spinning up. Light from his fire and shadow elements collides and explodes. Visibility is officially 0 rip. Suddenly his eyes go full nani. A black dragon spirit tears through those flames, absolutely devouring his aura. What kind of fever dream is this? My fire rings are actually getting bodied? Is it getting shredded to pieces? His dark, bloodshot eyes are in pure shock, and a few seconds later, his spear snaps into 3 pathetic shards. Hyeon-un is left kneeling on the dirt, looking at his broken toy like a total fraud. Zaha stands there looking arrogant with 2 spears in his hands, staring down the loser. He said the craft was inefficient, huh? Seo-hun watches from the back, feeling a bit salty about the wasted high-tier materials. What's next? Seo-hun chats him up, mentioning how once the promotion ceremony hits, he'll officially be recognized as the Fire Sect Spearmaster and legal successor. Seo-hun tilts his head, curious. So, how exactly are you gonna snag that? Seo-hun glances over, simple, just 2 conditions. First, hit the 8-ring level, and second, get the majority vote from the other masters. Seo-hun squats down, picking up the broken spear shards. Even if you hit 8 ring, can you actually get them to agree? Seo-hun flexes. I'll force their consent through combat, so that's a non-issue. But let me be real, that won't be a sparring match, so it won't be as easy as today. Seo-hun stands up, shoving his hands in his pockets. Doesn't sound like it'll take that long then. Seo-hun grips his spear tight, looking pressed. You make it sound so easy. Seo-hun keeps that chat energy. I'm just saying what's realistic. Look at the results from today. He stares back with that cold, dismissive gaze. From now on, you better worry about how you're going to pay for this mess. Seo-hun closes his eyes, staying calm, a smirk forming as if he's ready to pay up. Just tell me what you need to settle the tab. Cash, materials, I'll provide whatever you want. His voice drops into a serious low tone. Besides that, I've got another piece I need you to forge. Seo-hun looks at him, eyes narrowing. Another order already? You're moving fast. Suddenly, Seo-hun grips his weapon tighter. These materials aren't bad, but I only borrowed this one for the class anyway. A calculating smile spreads across his face. If this guy can craft gear like this in just a few hours, I'm dying to see what he's going to cook up next. Seo-hun slams his fist onto Seo-hun's shoulder. Make me a weapon that's actually usable next time. Seo-hun walks past him, deadpan. Put that spear down. You almost poked a hole in us. What did you just say? System notification. Affinity with target Yam Zhanha has increased to level 2. Higher affinity means your relationship is officially locked in. System notification. Current status with Yam Zhanha is business transaction. A link stone is created every time a trade is completed. Crystallization speed increases during active trading. Current stone count, 0. Scene shift to a packed venue, spotlights hitting the center stage of the auction house. The host looks like a total hype man, throwing his hands up. Huge thanks for the patience, everyone. The sophomore training department's periodic auction is officially underway. Seo-hun is chilling in the crowd. Didn't think a random daily event would have this many NPCs. Erica sits next to him, peeping his new drip.
Did you change your style or something?
He keeps his arms crossed, gaze unfazed. Professor Inchin reminded me that presentation is everything, he thinks to himself. Seems like being the department top scorer hits different. Enan steps onto the stage, radiating that main character energy. It's impossible to plot against someone who has every single eye in the room glued to them. Seo-hun sits there with his arms crossed, rocking a shady smirk. I'm honestly dying to see how Michael plans to hijack the refining department. Today's theme, Iron Swords. We've got 36 submissions, but the judges decided to spice things up with a special stress test. The host unveils a white sheet made of geump, woven from the fur of an S-rank white tiger. It's soft as silk but tougher than metal, literally built to tank hits. An assistant goes ham on the fabric with a blade, and the shockwave alone sounds like a literal gunshot in the hall. The host points at the fabric, ready to drop some truth bombs. As you can see, the test exposes the fraud weapons. Anything with low durability is about to get exposed for the mid-tier trash it is. We're using this geump cloth to filter out the garbage, and honestly, massive W for quality control. They grab the first blade, and oh look, it's Joseph's Blue Fang. Time to see if he's built different or just another NPC. The crowd starts whispering. Erica looks at Seo-hun, eyes sharp. You know what their play is? Seo-hun schools her. Everyone knows white tiger hides are tough, but they're sleeping on the real mechanics. The fur, skin, and bones all have different properties. Specifically, the fur has this broken ability to mimic the sharpness of any metal weapon that touches it. Meaning, the sharper your blade, the faster it eats through your durability. It's basically a hard counter. Erica's brow furrows in thought. Wait, so the white light greatsword is at a massive disadvantage? High sharpness weapons usually have garbage durability. Seo-hun rests his chin on his hand, looking way too calm. Exactly. It's an obvious trap set for me and Professor Kim and Cheon. If that sword snaps, our reputations are cooked. But that only happens if the crafting was sloppy, and my work, perfection. On stage, the gavel strikes. The 25th sword sold for 4 million, and now they're finally bringing out the main event. And finally, Sword 36, crafted by the freshman valedictorian of the refining department, Lee Se-hun. The quality inspection for the white light greatsword begins now. The moment the edge bites into the white cloth, a massive burst of mana ripples through the room. The tester grips the hilt with everything he's got, putting his entire weight into the strike. But the sword snaps back with such violent force, it's ripped right out of his hand. Michael watches the scene, his face going pale as a sheet. The white light greatsword is still razor sharp, with only the tip shattered. What the hell just happened?